So all of a sudden after I went to Japan,
so this is Gwen. Yeah, she's talking So, do you guys have like a whole building, or just this building?
So we have storage downstairs. It's up here in the corner, but we only do.
Oh, it's not the whole building.
No, there's a whole downstairs. We're at like, so 15 would be our comfortable maximum. The problem is whoa, we wanted to we've been moving the furniture. We kind of have to switch.
The safest. You know why he did that actually? Because he was sick, he had the flu, and he was supposed to pull out the whip and do something else. Like, but he was like, he felt embarrassed. We don't put it back. They're supposed to. They never do. Well, several times. Well, no, that's all. Right? Because you couldn't get through it at all. Yeah. I just actually went through it a couple of weeks ago.
Old stories. Won't happen again.
Yeah, by a quarter of a million of a mile an hour.
They did a whole movie out of this.
Oh yeah, where it's that movie. Yeah, I couldn't stand that movie. It was terrible. Just that.
Well, but they all have some like magic powers.
Well, it's good to have some disbelief, right?
Yeah.
What is physics and, nature?
Physics every time.
Okay.
It's great. I made a playlist. Yeah, of course. I just said there's a lot of Army Urians here.
Okay, we're going to start momentarily, everyone.
There it is.
All right, let's do it.
Am I opening for my state here? I didn't know the procedures.
Anthony, please join the circle.
We have to be aware of not saying anything.
Yeah, no, we're going to get on in a second.
Oh, okay.
All right, Anthony. Today is a day that many of us have waited for over a decade. It's our first Free Scholar test since then. Are you ready to challenge for the prize of Free Scholar?
I am.
Have you studied?
Yes.
Have you practiced?
I have.
Have you fenced?
Yes.
We're gonna commence the free scholar test in the good old way. You'll be presenting your test to the panel. I'm just gonna sit right there. And we have only one instruction for you. Please demonstrate for us over the next few hours the art of armoured. Svet, Murph, me, and
No, we're good. No, we need to. You gonna sit here?
Oh, you don't have enough? There.
please begin.
All right. I want to first thank everybody for coming. I'm traveling all these great distances to be here. It really means a lot to me. Today I want to talk about this beautiful art of Amizade, which is very dear to me. And over the last 10 years or 9 years I've been here, give or take a couple months, I really fell in love with this art. And I want to talk a little bit about it, but I don't want to go into too much detail because I want to be talking a lot about what we're doing in the place as well. So Fiore de Liberi was born during a very turbulent time. We all know of his exploits, we all know who he trained and what he did, but he lived in a time just post Black Plague when Italy and the rest of Europe was completely destroyed. There was only maybe 1/3 of the population around. There was a huge power vacuum from all the noble houses, and death was on everybody's front door all the time. So this was a time when the nobility was still the martial class, when they were still expected to know how to fight, and they were also expected to do so if the situation came up. So Fiore was not a fencing master that taught people to fight in tournaments or to fight in fancy festivals like some of the later sources, which are not bad, they're still great sources. But you'll see from this art here, it's a very brutal science meant to stop and disable your opponent. It's an all or nothing style of fighting, and it was the matter of life and death, with whether your survival or your downfall. And it was pretty much win by any means necessary. And that's what I love about this art the most, is that it has a sense of brutality to it, but also a sense of beauty as well. So the art of Amizade is essentially the art. That is the martial art that we study. All the weapons that you see are all just tools that we use to help facilitate this art. So all the plays, they transfer very interchangeably from one weapon to the next, and it becomes more apparent when you start to see the plays from the beginning towards the end. They start to repeat themselves, but for a very purposeful meaning, to show that you can use the same kind of plays interchangeably, and it makes it a lot easier for somebody studying from beginning to end, not to have to change the structure completely from one part of the manuscript to the next, okay? So just a few details about the 4 virtues. We have Fortitudo, which is the elephant that represents strength and stability. We have Celeritas, which is speed of hand, speed of movement. And we have Prudentia, which is the lynx holding the compass. And this represents measure, knowledge, and just awareness of the situation of battle. And then we have Audacia. Audacia is the lion, which represents courage to be in battle. Fiore describes this as being probably the most important of the 4 virtues, because without courage, we will not be in battle. And I think what the martial art does, it gives us enough confidence to know that when we're going into battle, that we at least have some knowledge of what to do. Not to say that we're not going to die, because a lot of times you would die either way, but at least you go into battle with a little bit of courage because you have the art behind you. I think that at school, lately, Prudentia has become one of the more defining factors, because we fence in a way to survive first before we worry about beating our opponent. Our survival is paramount, and that measure is a very important thing. Understanding awareness, understanding when you can deliver a strike and when you can defend. And I think that lately that's become very paramount. So I want to thank my Zubigore, the end for helping me out today. The first one we're going to start off with is the wrestling part of the manuscript. Okay. All right. So in the first play, it starts with a collar grab. My opponent goes and reaches to grab the collar. All right. The first thing I want to do is make sure I stop any incoming strikes. This could either be a strike or it could be a grab. He could be initiating a grapple at any point. So let's switch to this one. Okay. Yeah. So what I want to do once I make this stop with this arm here, I want to attack this lead arm. So what I do is I'm going to post a longa, and I want to get underneath the elbow, elbow to elbow. I want to create a bit of a bar. I want to make sure this arm is nice and straight. And from here, I can turn over. Right, I can grab this arm and I can bring it towards the ground. I have control. This is the first thing that we do when this arm grabs us from any part of the manuscript, and it's going to come up over and over. All right, so if he grabs again and I shoot up with the arm and he ends up bending as a reaction, I go into the third play, which I push the head and I go through, and here I want to take over his space, and if I check the knee, I can literally grab him and I can throw him right over the platform. And that's the third play. The fourth play, we have our shears. So he shows two sides where my opponent has the same footedness, but this one we're matched, and then grab him over under. Right? From here, what I want to do is my lead hand is going to come to the face. My rear hand is going to drop. From here, I'm going to twist. I can also do this mirrored, so if he has the same kind of grab. What I want to do is on this side here, I want to come a little bit more towards the flank, and then my right hand's going to come to the face the same way, and twist them towards the ground. Good? Yep. If I were to do this to him, I have the shear, if he were to do it to me, what I can do to get out of it is a simple elbow push and come to the back. Then I have his back, and I can go from there. Okay? From here, we have fireman's carry. So the fireman's carry is usually if he's over under here or in a simple grapple. What I can do is I can grab the arm, I come towards the inside leg, whatever leg is leading, and I can lift him and I can toss him onto his head. All right? So that can be either leg forward. Whatever leg I can grab, I can toss. So if it's the other leg, right, it's here, I can grab this leg as well, and do the same thing. And my intention is to drop him on his head. If he's a bigger opponent, I probably wouldn't do this, but I could if I drop towards my knees and just simply just shoot. Okay? If we're both over under, I can also just use a pressure point with my thumb, towards the chin, and push it off. So that's where some of the pressure points come into factor where Fiore talks about striking towards the eyes, the temple, the back of the ears, under the chin. Whatever really hurts, I want to use it. Okay? From here we have a grab. So if he doubles up on me here, what I want to do is I want to try to find the lead leg, whatever leg I can get to first. I want to come around, face myself out, and I can twist. Right? So that could be either leg. I'm not going to show you both legs, but that's what it is. If he gets me into a full Nelson, all right, when he's locked in, I don't have many options. Just before he gets locked in, I can grab the hands and pull. If not, I have to drive my head backwards. Possibly, if I want, I can try to hit his head and drive it backwards into a hard object, a wall. Okay? If I do break the hold, I can do the same thing, face down, come around, and I can throw. Okay? Those are those ones. We also have, if I'm here and I'm close by, I can throw a knee towards the groin. I can also drop back and throw that knee. And likewise, if he does it to me, I can come underneath the knee, I push at the same time, we'll do it a little bit slower. Okay, so if the knee comes up, I can hook the knee, I can push it. You might need a bit of the knee, but at least if you get it underneath, you can get it towards the ground. It's gonna suck, but this is life. Okay? From here we have comes double underhooks here. Come towards the face and push and break the hold. Okay? And if he does it to me, so if I do it to him, comes towards the face, I want to push up on the elbow, I can grab the leg. He also has if he's over top, okay, he has both arms locked, I can come towards the face here and push and get away. Okay. And if he comes over top to me, right, I go towards his eyes and I push and I have that. I just take my thumbs right to his eyes and get away from that. Next we have gambarolo. So gambarolo is the kind of attack that works if you have the momentum, if you have the tempo. All right, so we're both here. Okay, what I want to do is I want to pass forward. I want to shrink low. As I shrink low, I bring that leg back and I can toss. You gotta be careful with the gambarolo because we have equal opportunity to do the same thing. So I have to make sure that not only when I go forward and I shrink low, I get them off balance. Okay? And that's everything for the rest of the section.
So as someone who has definitely helped us focus and understand more about the place that striking has in Fiore's art, and Fiore mentions it briefly in the rest of the section, can you talk a little bit more about how you see striking taking part in this, in upper side?
Yeah, so striking is always a good opportunity to gain my posture. If I want to gain the advantage on my opponent, I can do striking to be able to facilitate whatever I need to do. I throw my strikes at the time. The be all and end all, we're not going to sit out here and go fist the cuffs most time. If it's just a civil dispute, one thing. But if in the mix of grappling, in the context of grappling, I want to use it to aid what I'm doing at all times. With not just striking, but with any kind of pressure point attacks, right? Any part of the body. Fiore, when he shows that knee to the groin, it pretty much says like, all in. Whatever I need to get done to win, that's what you have to do. Same thing with the eye gouge. So anything we can use, even if I want to come and I want to stop on the feet, right? Kick me towards the inside of his leg, whatever I need to do, I do it.
Great. Thank you.
No problem.
Any additional questions for Abrazade? All right, thank you. Please proceed.
Next, we're going to be showing plays of the bastoncello. I just need to grab a stool. Actually, we have to get back here. Or a chair. Chair's fine.
I forgot the park bench. I can't believe it.
So, so the bastoncello is essentially a stick, but it could be described as a staff of office. So this is something that he shows in the manuscript as an offensive weapon and a defensive weapon. So the first one, like when I were to throw a punch or a hook, I can block, come behind the neck, and then I double up on it. This is actually a very good choke as well. As soon as I do this, he feels the choke, and I can throw it out of the way. And from here, I can strike with the bastoncello. I can go left or right. Okay? If he has a grab on me, right? He grabs me here. What I want to do, okay? I want to come to the throat immediately. I'm going to lead towards the knee, check the knee, I have the throat. The throat is very important because it's going to really shock him initially. And whenever you grab someone's throat, they have to respond to that first before anything else. So as soon as I grab the throat, he's going to think about that as I come towards the knee. Okay? The next one we have, I'm going to put a little bit of costume on for this one.
You just want to wear that hat.
I did. This one up here, wear my garb, minding my own business. Okay. And the other wants to kill me. Okay, so first thing to get you the sotani. From here, I'm gonna defend. Okay, with my bastoncello. From here, I want to make sure I have that dagger away from me as I step up. I can come into a low key. I can even use the bastoncello to help go to the ground and strike. All right. We also have a strike from the mandrito. I block it. I want to make sure it comes off just a bit to the side, so that if he doubles up on the dagger, he's gonna knock me off balance off my chair. All right. So I make sure I make that defense. I can trade off, and I can strike from here. I can do all of my first order master plays from this as well. All right. The reason why I'm wearing the silver hat is because it describes also being able to do with a hood. So because of the sotani, right? I have a defense. I'm here. I have my attacks. time from the mandrito. Mandrito comes, make that defense, I go over top. I can even use it to disarm. Right? Very versatile. You can do this with anything. You can do it with a rope, you can do it with a hood, you know, any kind of leverage weapon. Where you go. Awesome job. Okay, great. Very good, thank you. No problem. Now we're moving into the dagger plays. So the first series of plays are dagger against an unarmed opponent. All right, so I have disadvantage because I don't have a dagger in this situation. So my opponent's going to throw the mandrito attack, which is the most common attack used. It has the most amount of plays throughout the whole menu. Okay, so mandrito comes in, make a defense right off the bat. Make sure I attack it right away. From here, I move into a disarm, where I turn towards the ground and I disarm the dagger. Okay. If my opponent throws that attack and it slips a little bit, I might want to come underneath, grab the elbow, twist, and come towards the middle key. Towards the middle key, and if I want, I can also try to grab the dagger from here. But if not, I can strike and strike and do naughty things. All right? Do that attack one more time. If I want, I can even just bend the elbow and drive it towards the ground. Right? We also have a high key, so it's a key where you come up and you come above. All right, so he makes his attack. If, for example, it's more of a stay energy or a bit of a pull back, I can come through. I can even give that elbow as I come in. I get high key, okay, and I can drive it down. Okay. We have more strength. So this is described as being a little bit stronger in armor, but the advantage of more strength is I have two hands against the one hand, which is always better because I have more leverage. Because if I make this single attack and he doubles up on the dagger, I only have one hand against the two. So if I use the more strength, where I make this crossing, at least I have that, okay? Not the best unarmored, but it still works. From here, I can come underneath, and I have that bar, all right? I also have a throw as well. So he throws that attack, right? I come underneath, right for that. If he decides to pull back, I can shoot with his leg, and then I can toss him. Okay? I have a clothesline throw, which is really nice. He comes, he throws that attack, pulls back a little bit wide. I follow through with this clothesline. This is very similar to gamma roll. Twist. I have another disarm, so if he throws his attack and it's perhaps a little bit straighter, I can come up towards the point, leverage away, and I can strike. If I'm a little bit more brazen and I, for some reason, maybe you're behind time or I want to mess around with them, I can strike, I can get away, or I can strike and I get it back. But it's a little bit more of a risky play because that dagger you don't really have control of that dagger. From the double strength, if I were to give it to him, I would simply want to push the elbow and strike. Okay. Some of the counters, a lot of counters. This tons of counters, almost as many counters as the other plays. Okay. So I throw my attack. As soon as he makes contact, I switch towards the flank. If he does make contact, I can also twist, come towards the middle, where I can simply foresee the hand coming and shove it off and strike. Okay? If he does make a decent trap, I can turn, let's turn this way. I can turn the blade over towards the wrist, I can pinch it together, and I can drive it down, and I have control, and I have the weapon, and I have the weapon. If I want, I can simply, as soon as I see the hand come up, I can change direction, go towards the hand, stab towards the hand, or towards the arm, which is also very nasty. If he makes his cover, goes for the middle key, right? Goes for the middle key, right? I can also turn it over by grabbing the blade, take it down. He goes to the high key, like I showed before. It's defense, he goes for the key. I want to bring it down low and stab him right towards the shoulder. Drive it down. Okay, going down so much. You need water?
He'll be fine.
Good. Get him up for a little bit more. All right. That's when we have. If he goes for shoots for the leg, like I showed before, makes attack to shoot the leg. If he grabs the leg, what I want to do, right? If you have the leg, he has the leg check. I can grab the head and drive downwards. Do it one more time. Okay. Right. Even if he starts to have the leg, right? I can bring him down with like driving my weight back on my leg, bring the head down and stab him. Right? If he goes for that disarm like I showed before, where he comes towards the top, I want to check the arm. So from here, I can double up or something of the sort. If he gives me the break, show it underneath. Goes the break, go for the side sack break. Right? I want to turn my elbow up, so reverse force tooth. Okay? Let's turn it a little bit this way. Right? Reverse force tooth, right? I'm going to drive it towards his throat. As I do that, I check the leg. Drag it down. Move one more time. Right? Underneath. Come. Turn over. I like to really drive it into his neck. As I drive it towards the neck, if I have to check the leg, I can check the leg. But I don't always need to. I think that is it for the first remedy master place.
Are there any strikes that you see in the first remedy master in the obvious places?
So in obvious places, like I was showing before, if I make this attack, this defense at first, I can strike right off the bat. Boom. And then I can do this one. When I'm coming in for the keys, like I showed, I can come with the elbow and come with the keys, right? With this clothesline, this is a brutal clothesline. I don't want to just step through. I want to step and strike as I come around. So he's already off balance, he's already concussed. As I come here, bam! I strike, and I wrap the head. Right, I don't just step through and try to work on my legs. I make ssure that the head is completely twisted over. Then you have knees and groin strikes you can employ as well. Okay?
Thank you.
The second remedy master is double cross. So you're using the mandible cut. I make that defense. Right from here, I can come underneath. Okay? Shows coming underneath, and having that high key underneath. Okay? And then from here, the second remedy master, I can attack. I can twist it, depends on the pressure, towards the third remedy master place. Right? I can simply push and do things from the fourth. So this one here is a good transition. It's a good feeling out kind of guard to figure out exactly where the pressure is going. So if he throws the attack and it starts to push towards here, I can also turn and yield to that kind of pressure coming in. And the defense against this is obviously the elbow push, right? Elbow push and strike. Whenever my opponent is not connected to the dagger, I can push the elbow. As soon as they have connection with the hand, the elbow push is no longer valid. Okay? So this starts to come up more and more, but he likes to show it over and over because of its importance. Okay, so that's the second remedy master. Third remedy master is against the man reverso. So he throws his attack, I get the hand up right away, and I make that cover. As soon as I make that cover, I want to make sure I flick that dagger a bit so that the point is not right in my face. Okay, and then from here, I can shoot forward towards this elbow. So let's turn this way. I shoot towards the elbow. All right, using my pectoral muscle as a bar. And I want to bar as much as possible. Okay, from here, I want to shoot for that dagger and twist. I trade, and I strike. All right, so that is the disarm and the bar. We have a series of other bars as well. So I make that cover. I twist. I can just use the hand and leverage both. I can use the forearm, the elbow, and I can also trade to one hand. And the advantage of this is I can also go for the dagger as well and strike. Okay? We have a few keys. So he throws his attack. I bend, if he starts to bend the elbow, I come underneath. I have the key. This one here, it's a little bit closer towards his body. And the second one, I can bring it closer to my body. I come here, and I have it here. I have this bend here, right? And I can really drive it towards the ground from there. Just two variations. All right? If he throws his attack, the energy is pushing towards me this way, I can trade towards the face. That's a little bit more risky because the dagger is still in play, but if I've already lost contact, it's it's a good last resort to come to, and it's a good throw. Okay. We also have the counter. So I'll make this attack. Makes this cover. I come double up on the dagger, and I drive him down. Okay. And there's a counter to that which is not shown, or which is practiced. So he doubles up, and right away I'm going to turn towards the bottom arm. And get off. Okay. That is the third remedy master.
Can you do that last one again?
The
And
last
just block.
counter
The very last one you just
counter.
Yeah.
Here comes underneath. Okay. Twist this way. Okay. This way is now good. If I twist this way, I still have it. I twist the outside, the inside. Okay. Third remedy master. Good. Yeah. So now we have the fourth remedy master, which is against the fendente, which is straight down the middle. He comes. I want to attack it as soon as possible, nice and high. I want to get offline. If I'm online and he doubles up, I'm screwed. Either way. Or be just offline. From here, I want to make sure this trap is nice and strong. I come towards the point of the dagger. I twist towards him. I have the dagger to strike, whatever. Okay. He makes that attack again. If the strike, if he's pushing all the way through, I can deviate it and I can bring him towards his knee if I can. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Or if he's pushing through, I can turn it upwards and drive him more towards the ground with that bar. As I'm falling, I'm lifting. You good?
Yeah.
Sorry. And I'm bringing it up. Okay? I don't want to ruin it halfway through the dagger section. All right. Next one. He throws his attack. He starts to push back. I push that elbow. I go for check the knee, and I can drive him towards the ground. Okay. Another one we have is high knee. Big attack. I come over top, and I come underneath here, and I drive him right towards the guy. I come right beside him, right in his ear. One more time. Right here. I want to come nice and close here. Right. Bring this. And then we have the counter. There's one counter that's shown. Okay, I make my attack. When it comes to the outside with the dagger, shear the hand and strike. I can come to the inside as well. Right, I come through the middle, come over top, and strike. But essentially the same thing. Just it's the fourth remedy master. Okay. Now we go into the fifth remedy master. This is with the he grabs the collar. Okay, so this is another unarmed one. What I want to do initially is strike this hand first. I want to deal with this hand because the dagger is not in play yet. It's very important that dagger is not in play. I go for this arm first. So it shows I can strike here, right? I can initially strike that arm. I can go into the person's second player of wrestling. Okay? If I want, if he bends the elbow, I can go into the same thing. It's my third player wrestling. I also have, you want to grab me? If I want to get rid of this hand, if I want it off, I come up to the side double horse tooth. I twist away. I can leave. I can come over top, double up on the hands, break the guard. Strike. Okay? If I want to, I can break one arm, break with one arm, come underneath, and I have lower key. So I just twist it that way. All right, one more time. Down, lower key. I make sure that I strike, get on top. All right, from here we also have a break of arm. I grab this arm, on top here. Right, and we have a bar. One time. Right, I grab it. I have a bar. I also have a throw from here. Okay, I grab this hand, make sure it's locked in place. I check the knee, and then if I want, I can trade. Just because I think that throw on its own, it's a little bit squirrely, I like to trade over. Okay? Yes, okay, so now he grabs me and that dagger becomes an issue. The dagger comes up. What I want to do is I can double up, double strong, go into all my first remedy master plays. If he gives me the Sultano, let's turn this way. Sultano, double up. I can go into lower key, or I can double cross. If I had a dagger, I could do the same thing. I can grab. If he grabs me, I can make my defense, grab my dagger and strike. And I have one more throw from here. Right? I come actually across with the right hand on this one. Right? So I come over top. I defend with the right, I come to the right, and then I crisscross over. So it creates this shearing motion. Right? As the dagger comes up, I grab here. And as I come to the leg to check, I create this shear. Right, twist over. Alright, so this is the fifth Remy master. Oh, sorry. Counter. Before you get counter.
You made your mind, that's part of this test.
Very well done. Okay. So he goes for that arm, right? I can bend it upwards like this, to strike, or if I want, I can bend it downwards, close to my body, and strike. It's actually showed like this in the manuscript. This is actually a good defense in a hockey fight as well. Right? Punch me on there. Because you know, Fiore did a lot of hockey back then.
That's the down story.
That's where it comes from.
He's in the mountains, right?
Oh yeah. So that is it. Any more questions?
Fifth Remy master questions?
Proceed. Okay. Now we go into the sixth Remy master. Sixth Remy master is dagger on dagger. We'll be beginning plates. We're both equal playing field. All right. So these ones are shown double up on the dagger. But I don't like to show double up on it. I don't like to wait and double up. I don't want to show him what I'm doing. So as soon as the attack comes, I double up and then I strike. For reasons I'm going to explain. As soon as he strikes, I can trade, and I can stab. From this trade, I can go into the disarm as well. He shows two grips. I don't know why, but you can do two grips where it's with thumbs up and strike, or thumbs down. I like thumbs down because you can actually twist it a lot easier to strike. Okay. From here, he throws that mandrito. I can twist and drive the dagger towards the bicep and hit. Okay. One more time. From here, I also have a pull disarm, which I showed from Bastoncello. We come up and twist. I have the dagger. I have two daggers now. Fight with two daggers.
Can you switch sides and show it again?
Yeah. So here's the attack. I make that defense. I twist. Hopefully I don't stab myself in the leg like I just did. So I make that defense. And then also if he throws that attack, I can simply stab towards the inside of the hand. And this is actually pretty good in armor because usually the palms are exposed. So this is a good defense in armor. All right, he throws that mandrito. Maybe it's a little bit towards the middle, okay? I can twist towards the other side, drive it in and stab. Again, I can simply just push the elbow up and trade. And then if he gives me the reverse, right, I can simply push the elbow from here and strike. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm making contact and I'm exchanging right away towards the hand. And the reason why I said that I don't like to wait in these guards, some people like to wait in these guards, is because he sees that coming, right? So if he's waiting in the guard, and I go to strike, as soon as I see it, I'm gonna push the elbow because it's there. But if I don't see it coming, I don't know if he can defend with the hand first. I don't know what's coming. But if he already double up on the dagger, immediately I know he's not connected. Okay? Sixth Remy master. Seventh, it's essentially the same thing, but it's crossed. The reason I cross is because of the handedness. If I'm underhand grip, I double up. If I'm overhand, I cross. Just because this is the way I pull my dagger initially. If I'm here, I don't want to start fiddling around, I cross. And I can do the same thing. So we're back, I have here, strike. Towards the middle, strike, towards the other side, strike. Have the same things, okay? And of course, if he does that, doubles up immediately, throws it, double push, it's gone, okay? Those are the sixth and seventh Remy masters. Good? Okay. Eighth Remy master is the defense against the Sultani with the dagger. Goes his attack. Initially, what I want to do, so I'm going to come up top, lower key and strike, and then he shows variations from there where it's unarmored. When it's I'm undaggered, okay? So undaggered, I double up, I bend the elbow, lower key, I can strike from there, And then same thing, come go across, make that defense outwards, and come to top. Here we are. Okay. There's also another one, another fun one as well. Goes as attack. I defend from here. I push the elbow, kick inside the leg, and strike. Okay. Just like that extra step of damage that I like to see, like that totality of it. It's really cool. That's the 8th Remedy Master. Okay. 9th Remedy Master is undaggered again. So he throws his attack. I make my defense. I make sure I trap right away. And that same thing. Just like the 4th Remedy Master, I want to make sure I'm not online. I'm just offline. And I want to make sure I'm as deep as possible with the dagger. I don't want to be here, because if he starts to step forward or doubles up, I'm in trouble. Nice and low. Okay, from here, I have a disarm. I twist the hand, I pinch the thumb. I come towards the point, I lift, and so I have to create 2 opposing forces. Up and downwards, strike, strike. Okay? If he pushes forward, right, I can twist, I can break. There's a variation of that where if he pushes forward, right, I can come over top. I have that bar as well. So one on the low, one on the high. And then we have a series of low keys. He loves these low keys, these strong lower keys from these kind of attacks. So he shows, once I make my defense, comes inside the arm, set it up, low key, or he shows comes the outside the arm, set it up. Okay. There's also the treatment. There's also the fun one. If he pulls, this is essentially if he pulls to the other side, he withdraws to here. I come to inside the leg, I lift, and I grab the leg, and essentially what I do is as I lift the leg, his head goes towards the ground. Okay. There's another one, for example, I'm making a defense. Sorry, with my dagger. I don't know why it's in this section, but it's in this section. Makes a defense with the dagger. All right. I grab, I abandon my dagger. I strip, and I strike. Okay. And there is a counter, but it's not shown. Essentially, we can use the same logic as the 4th Remedy Master. Throws his attack. I'm here. No, sorry, the dagger. I'm here. Make my defense. I come up over top. I shear, and I strike. Same thing, but just from a lower position. Okay. Those are the plays of the dagger.
Ninth Remedy Master questions?
I have 2.
Please.
Yeah.
Could I see the first little key again?
First low key.
Yeah.
So high.
And second was more of a general question. Why do you think, this is the no answer or wrong answer here, why does he organize this section the way he does?
9th Remedy Master?
No, the whole dagger section. Why, like it's monthly or universal, and then taking a whole bunch of bullshit, and then Soprano.
I think because he's following along the actual angles of the strikes. So if you see the actual the pages, the masters, you kind of see the angles of the strikes, and then the plays kind of follow chronologically from how he kind of describes it, right? And especially if you see the center, if you're working from left to right, you have the mandrito, you have the fendente, you have man reverso, and you have soltani. So it could just be placed in that direction, and then all the the dagger on dagger ones are kind of just mixed in there as well as a show, right? Because you're kind of putting, especially like most of the dagger on dagger from Mandrito, because that's the most common attack, right? Especially if we're both in daggers, this is the most common attack. I'm not going to try to do something stupid to come up with reverse. This is kind of a product from a reverse that's when I'm already engaged. So.
I had a similar kind of question. So this section, there's a lot of masters at the beginning.
Yep.
Can you talk about them and why you think there's all of those, like different than say the first section?
Yeah, I think that this section has a lot of integrated wrestling into it, and because it's shown first before the sword, he kind of talks about the master of disarms, breaks, keys, and throws. And I don't think that he needs to show it again in the sword section, but it is a prologue to the rest of the system. So he talks about these masters, and as with daggers, I don't think they're necessarily beholden to just for daggers. These are kind of principles that you can use throughout the whole system. But but they're shown before a system where he needs to talk about them. It's very important because I don't think there's necessarily a precedence in which ones you need to have first and which ones work best. Obviously, your opponent on the ground without their dagger is the best scenario. Just disarming your opponent is not enough because they can wrestle it back. Breaking your opponent's arm, of course, it's terrible, but they still have the other arm. So there could be a reason why he shows the manuscript, while they're consistently becoming a lot more fancy throughout the masters. But I think that the masters are there to show how the versatility of the system works from the beginning to the end.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
It's a little bit out of the box. The sad reality is that it's a violent world out there today. And according to NPO, 71% of knife attacks stem from individuals with the left foot forward and violence, mostly right-handed attacks. And these are worldwide stats. Secondly, most of the attacks are to the abdomen. And the average number of holes is 27. This is worldwide. So typically the attacker is nuts. In your opinion, how would you defend against that?
So it's very difficult because there's smaller weapons than the dagger. And when I'm attacking with a smaller weapon, a lot of times the reason why he's left foot forward is because I'm striking, and as soon as he's trying to make contact with his hand, I'm shearing, and I'm striking, I'm striking. Coming up top, sometimes you can someone could turtle up and they can make those defenses, but it's very, very hard to make that cover against this hand. Even in this situation here, you have a little bit more leverage with a long weapon, but of course when that weapon enters your body, you don't need 27 strikes to kill your opponent. You need maybe 2 or 3, or maybe just 1. So the thing with knife attacks, obviously you don't want to be there, but you don't want to just get victim into nothing. You want to do what you can. You want to survive the best way you can. And I think what we see here is survival. We don't see like, okay, he's throwing his initial cover, and then boom, I'm landing my disarm or whatever it is, and he's dead. It usually doesn't work like that. It's usually a series of things that I'm doing to be able to survive. I might get hit a few times along the way, but you can't just be a victim and just helplessly try to run away, because they even say that running away now, people from experience, doesn't even work because they'll chase you and stab you as you're doing it, right? So yeah, it's a very chaotic system, and being attacked with a dagger without a dagger, it's insane. It's insane to think about. So that's my thoughts on how it is. And the reason why most people are left foot forward is because they're stabbing quickly in this direction.
So the way that I articulate that in training is with the knife, you start the fight dead and work back from dead.
Exactly. Yeah. If you survive,
Yeah.
you're lucky.
Yeah. So if you're already dead, you might as well go all in.
Right. And of course, if another person has a weapon, that fight changes completely. Their intensity diminishes because the threat is there, so it looks a lot different.
So I know we haven't hit the armored section yet, but Fiore mentions armor periodically throughout the dagger section.
Yeah.
So can you comment a little bit on how you understand dagger fitting in armor, and what, if anything, will change about it?
Yeah, so there are some defenses that are better in armor. Of course, they can be made out, but of course, you do have the luxury of having all the steel underneath you to support you. And one thing I noticed from dagger disarms in armor is that you can use the van brakes a lot, just to simply disarm with the van brakes, because you have all the steel. There's a lot more leverage you have to disarm that. But of course, a lot of times when you're fighting in armor, it's dagger on dagger, because you're in a battle situation, as opposed to this is more kind of like a civil defense, where opposing houses, for example, are trying to kill you, or you're sitting in a church, like in one example with the Medici, where someone's stabbing you. They're not situations where you're prepared, and you can see from the Bastoncello, that's a situation where someone's just sitting there unprepared, and what can I do from there? But in armor, you're both there, you're both fighting, and a lot of times you both have a dagger. But the disarms do change, because you do have the luxury of having all the steel to be able to work with, to be able to make those disarms. And he starts to put those in periodically and explain which ones are better in armor.
Okay, any more questions? Can I suggest we take a 2-minute water break? Yep. First, and then we'll, so 2 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, where?
Is there a leak there?
I'm standing right in front of the camera. I'm standing in front of the camera.
Yeah, I'll help you.
Is that rolling?
Yeah.
Who did? Give me a freaking heart attack. Okay, it's going again.
Alright, go. Okay, so the next section is dagger against sword. Okay? So this is one where he shows a guard. He shows actually describes this as a horse too. So it's very similar to one-handed guard, but it's defensive against the sword. So if my opponent is prepared to thrust me, okay, come in with a little bit more thrust. I want to step backwards, right? Meet the dagger, and then strike. I want to check the elbow and strike. If I'm ahead of time, I can pass forward, but it's a little bit risky. With the thrust, I like to step back, let him think he has it, gain the tempo, check, and strike. Okay? If he gives me a cut, this is where I want to step in immediately, right? This time, I pass it, I check the elbow, and I strike. So I receive the dagger towards the dagger in the rondelle, and as it comes down, I can strike. Okay? We switch. There is a counter to this. So if I throw my attack and he makes his defense, he comes to check the elbow. Right? After he checks the elbow, I come underneath and I strike. Right? One more time, nice and slow with that one. Come underneath. I check the hand. It shows it like this. I can thrust. Okay, so that is sword against dagger. We have next is a series of attacks, defenses of a sheath weapon. Okay, so the first one, I'm standing with the sword on my shoulder. My opponent grabs me, similar to the Liberi master. As soon as the dagger starts to come up, I want to check the arm with the crook of the arm. I want to draw my sword, and I want to strike. Okay. The next one is when I have my sword just to the side. Okay. He makes his grab. As he comes up, I want to come underneath, draw, and strike. And then there's a variation to that. Okay. Grabs again. I should come to this turn. Grabs again. As he comes up, right? Make this defense. I come towards the face. As I draw, I smash him in the head with the sheath, and then I can strike. Okay? So that is sword on dagger, dagger on sword, vice versa. All right? No, we're going to grab we're going to grab the swords. So next are the plays of the sword. All right. So Fiore shows our guards. Of course, we have a horse tooth, middle iron gate, full iron gate, tail, posto di donna, posto finestra, bicorno, finestra sinistra, della donna sinistra, posta longa, posta breve, posta frontale. Okay. He also shows a few other guards. They're deflection guards. Okay. This one, the first one, this is a one-handed guard, and this is shown against a sword that's thrown, a thrust, or a cut. We also have, it shows it later on, but I'm going to talk about it now. The boar's tooth is also a deflection guard against a spear incoming spear throws, or cuts and thrusts. Okay, and then each throw is also a deflection guard, where it's two-handed, very similar to our armored section. Okay, so from posto di donna, he also shows this reverse guard where he's cutting almost like an axe. All right, this guard here is very specific, not specific, but if you hold into this guard, has a deflection very similar to my armored section. If you were to use a pole axe, you don't have to grab it, but I can do the same thing. If it's against a pole weapon or a stronger weapon, I would use this defense. Okay, so the first bunch of plays we're going to show are the plays of the one hand. Okay? So with the one-handed section, maybe it's better. Here. We're in this guard, the one-handed guard. Right? So as he throws his attack, I come upwards, I strike, and I thrust. If he throws, just to go around the clock, all right? I come up and down. One more time with that one. This one I like to come true to false. Right? It has extra leverage on the sword. He comes with the soprano. Thrust. Soprano on the other side. Thrust. Mezzano, I'm going to come over the top, strike, and then reverse the same thing. Okay, another attack, if he comes with the mandrito, right, it's a strong mandrito, I can come off the line, strike towards the hands. Okay? So my primary is to attack in this direction and get the thrust. That's what I want to do. If I come and I deflect and I cut, it's fine, but thrust is always better than most attacks, especially if thrust directly to the head. And this is
What if Leander's thrusting you from that guard?
then I come across. So the thrust comes, I come across the middle. Then I thrust. Okay? This is good because I still have cover. Same with the, if I comes from the top, right? I'm here, I have a little bit more cover. So he comes down, I come towards the hands, right? So he throws his attack and we bind. Alright, I have some options from here. I can enter from my left side, I can push the elbow, come towards the back here, towards his face with my and double up on the sword, and I can throw him down. I could also simply double up on the sword, half swording style, and I have the thrust. And then we have a series of plays from the other side. Okay? I make my defense, I'm a little bit late. I can simply push the arm and thrust. Okay? I can grab the guard, I can twist it and thrust. One more top. Pick up underneath, pommel, twist to the opposite side, have a thrust. Okay. Make this defense. If I come in really deep, I come in with the middle key. I have a pommel strike. Okay. We have a, if he comes with a thrust, right? If I want, I can even break the point. Check the arm and strike. Another thrust. I can break the point, I can step on the sword and strike, and I can use either foot for that one. Okay? I also have a throw from there, alright? Come a little bit deeper here, I can turn it around this way. Alright, here, thrust goes in, a little bit deep, I can come in the third running master. Yeah, that's, I can also do more key as well. So you could be a cut right up here. If I want, I can come over top of this side, the lower key. Similar. Okay? Those are the attack with the one hand, the defense is with the one hand.
So from all the plays from the bind that you showed, is there anything that you're looking for that'll help tell you which plays to do, which not?
Yeah,
How to
so
decide?
on my situation, okay, when I make that bind, if his hand is towards my right side, I want to go to the left side. If it's a little bit more off here, I have all these plays on my right. So it all depends on where I line it. I don't want to specifically try to reach towards the other side for any reason. I want to make sure whatever is clear and concise, whatever direct line I have. Okay? Depends on the pressure as well, too, how fast I'm moving forward and how fast he's moving forward. Vice versa.
Thank you. Questions?
Yeah, so this question was asked to me many, many years ago. What is the context of this session? Why is this here?
The context could be, if I were to guess, it could be from a draw, where I'm drawing and striking. But from a couple months ago when I held a sword, a sharp from this period that was nicely tapered, it was very easy to flow from one hand to two. So that could have been a practice where they were constantly using two hands to one hand. But with these swords, it's kind of hard to tell because they're a little bit unwieldy with one hand. So we kind of revert to think, okay, maybe this is something where I'm caught off guard, I draw the sword, and I have this attack. But some of the swords from the period, were very easy to use one-handed as well, so it could have been used interchangeably. All right, jogo largo. So jogo largo is the place of the sword. All right, this is where we're playing at distance. We're fighting to the death, or to stop my opponent from killing me. So the first bunch of plays, we are left foot forward. All right, and the first play of this one is when we're across the point. Okay, so we're in the middle here. What I want to do is my opponent is passed to try to kill me, and I want to cross towards the point. I want to deflect the sword, and I want to exchange and strike. I want to create this whole weight to strike. Okay, so if we do it in real time, he steps forward. I want to exchange. This can be done from left or from right. I'm just making a slight increase. I want to use my opponent's overcommitted attack to be able to destroy them.
In the engagement there, where you, where would you prefer to engage your sword?
So my swords are going to be close towards the tip and on the side of the edge, not edge to edge. I always want to, in this style, because we're fencing, we don't realize enough how much we want to save those edges. We want to use the side of the edge as much as possible. The more you bite into your opponent's sword, the more the blades are going to stick. And we do that because, you know, we want to fence, we want to survive. So you really want to use that motion to be able to deflect your opponent, okay? The next is, for example, we're in the middle and my opponent does not let me cut through. And so they give me a bit of pressure. I want to use the pressure and come off the side. Cut to the hands, cut to the arm, cut to the head, but it depends on how much tempo I have. I like to come towards the hands or towards the sword so it doesn't come back up. Okay? If we're across towards the middle, and I don't have the time to come around and yield, what I want to do is I want to bring it down towards the hands, step offline and thrust. Okay? I don't want JD.
Can you just pause for a
Yeah.
second? So I realize we're in a bit of a widespread.
Can you guys
If
all
you guys on
see
the edges
what I'm
want them to repeat anything, please do so. Make sure you
Okay, we can see. Yeah, because this one, some of these plays are a little bit linear.
Yeah. Please proceed, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So we're across the middle. I drive it towards the hands and I thrust. All right. If we're bound, where the blades for some reason have stopped because they've bit into each other, or I've run off into his guard, and the momentum stops, I can reach and grab the sword. Once I grab the sword, I can cut towards the arms. I can thrust. I can cut whatever I want. If he decides to turn the blade upwards, right, I can step, take towards the legs, I can strike, all right? If I know that he's gonna come with a very powerful attack, and I might know this from a previous exchange where he's very aggressive with his attacks, or maybe he's inexperienced, I'll step over a little bit. This is the peasant strike. So what I wanna do is very similar to the first play, but I want to yield immediately. So I'm not gonna do that first strike through. He has too much forward pressure where I'm afraid he's gonna blow through that defense. So as soon as he comes, I want to yield, come towards the sword immediately, okay? I want to come towards the sword because if it comes back up, I want to be covered. And if he starts to retreat and he starts to run away, like a coward, I can step and thrust. I'll have that point on.
Can you do it again very slowly?
Yeah. So as it comes in, right, I step through, I yield, and I come through. So I'll make contact just so that, and I have to sell it. I have to sell that contact. I can do the same thing. And I come towards the sword. And I strike. Okay? That's the present strike. Next we have a kick to the groin. All right. So from here, I'm in contact. I can drive the quillins up, kick towards the groin. I can stomp or kick. I can kick towards the stomach. And so from here, once I kick, I want to drive it downwards. Good? Yeah. And now that's where I want to finish. I want to be able to make him bend over so I can finish the attack. All right. If he does it to me, right, I push the leg to the side. I have that strike as a counter, okay? If he does the other kick, he wants to kick with the back leg, same thing, right? That is that. If he wants a kick cut towards my leg, no problem. I want to step backwards and throw that attack, okay? One more time. It might hit my leg, but it is suicidal, all right?
So since we're here, can you just tell us a little bit about leg cuts. When would you do them, if at any time? When wouldn't you do them, and why?
So leg cuts are risky because you might have a target, but they have your head. And so it's a very suicidal attempt. Fiore says that cutting towards the leg is not a good idea unless you're on your back. You have no choice to cut your leg, okay? Because, of course, you're there and you're fighting up over your back or whatever the case may be. So leg cuts are not always the best idea in the shoulders of the manuscript. And this one is specifically to show what can happen to you or your opponent if they do that. If your opponent's stupid enough to do it, cut them towards the head, move your leg out of the way, best you can.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? No problem. Now we have a series of exchange of point. So if I'm here, for your attack, I want to exchange my point. If I'm in the other side, I want to exchange. Feel a little bit more stronger on the blade. Right? And then we have that exchange. If I want to pass forward, I can pass forward, but from how much pressure he gave me, I didn't even have to move. But if I pass forward, I'll have attack. If I do pass forward, and we do miss, and I do miss, I can grab the blade, I can hold it, and I can strike. I don't necessarily have to move it around. I can literally just control it and strike. And the reason for that is sometimes when you move your opponent's blade, they're going to react right away. And sometimes you just want to check it, and then you strike. Okay?
When you do the exchange of point again, can you show where your ideal point of contact is on your sword?
Okay. So I want to meet it as soon as possible. Okay. And then what I want to do is I want to divert it just enough so I have a strike. I don't want to divert it too much. So I'm going to be offline and they're going to react and cut around. I want to make them think they have it. As they're thrusting, just exchange to have it. Okay? It's a little bit of subtlety there. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Next we have breaking a point. So this a lot of times happens from when my opponent's thrusting and I'm in a high guard. Okay. So as he's attacking, I can break the point downwards. I don't want to do too much damage
Into
to
the
this
phone,
guy.
whatever.
So as I bring it down, right? If I have it in the ground, I can cut up and leave, but I can't just bring it up to attack. I'm still in danger. He can follow me with that attack. All right. So if he throws his defense, I break the point. I might want to solidify it with stepping on the blade and cutting upwards. Okay, and I can step with either foot. Whatever foot's closer, I can strike with. Okay, one more time. He throws his attack. Whoa, right? I break the point. And if I bring it up too early and he follows me, I come over top and I can hook. All right, one more time with that one. Right, he throws his thrust. Whoa, break the point. Come up too early. I come over top. I hook the pommel towards the side of the
Can
head.
you throw him to the ground with that one, please? Okay.
Roughly, throw him to the ground roughly.
This is a wrestling one in it raw now. Okay.
Thank you.
Those are the plays of the breaker point. Okay.
So I have a question
Yeah.
before you move on. So in the poster, he often mentions in many of them that this poster can break and exchange, and some he just says this poster can just break the thrust. Why do you think that is? What's the difference?
So some of the posters that are point forward, they're more beneficial to exchange, but lower guards like Iron Gate are very good for breaking the point and exchanging. Higher guards not as good for exchanging, good for breaking, but not as good for exchanging points. They can be done, but because of the downward motion, you have more of the breaking than you do of the exchanging. But from Iron Gate, for example, it's a very versatile guard because I can break it or I can easily exchange from here. Point forward guards are very good for exchanging, right? Because I'm already point forward, but they already kind of know that. They have that point, they see that point there, and they might be a little bit more susceptible to not thrusting.
No, I'll add to that. Is there a difference between left and right guards in that respect?
Full iron gate on the right side is best for that, and from the other side, force tooth is very good for exchanging. Right? He comes on top, I have that exchange, and what I like about force tooth, it's a thrust and cut guard. So as you're thrusting, you're cutting as well. But in terms of the high guards, they kind of follow the same kind of function.
Other questions for Mark?
Oops, the point.
we interrupt, yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Proceed, yeah.
And then finally we have the close point. Okay? So this one here is one of the guards, one of the plays where I actually initiate the attack, which a lot of them are mostly defensive. So this one, as I'm cutting, mainly I'm trading to the other side with the half sword. Okay? And then if he were to do that, I see it coming, I can come over top, and I can turn my blade off. If I want, I can push downwards, but if I want, I can turn the blade upwards. Straight from there. Okay? And those are the plays of the unlock. Okay? Good?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Just, is there a play he describes in the middle of Boar's Tooth?
In Boar's Tooth?
Yeah, then he talks about the guard. There's a play that really, it's not that critical. It's just he describes the guards and what they can do, and then Little Boar's Tooth he actually describes it that play.
Not that I can recall. I know that Boar's Tooth is a good play for deflecting.
You made me think of it when you said
Yeah.
that.
So it's a good play for. It's a play that he describes deflecting attacks with the thrown sword, right? So he also describes the thrown sword with the fingers in between the guard throwing, and he also talks about a charged one-handed guard, where you would see very similar to archer and the long sword. So one-handed charging attack and the thrown sword. So the Boar's Tooth is perfect for that because you can step offline, you can deflect the attack. Okay. So if you were to just give me a one-handed charged attack, right, just to kind of symbolize.
That's so close to the answer.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, you are like.
All right, I got it.
But it's not a big deal. It's not critical. No.
But like I said, the Boar's Tooth is good for. I like it because it's a cut and thrust.
We're literally doing the play.
Okay. All right.
Others? All right, proceed.
Okay. So now we go to Jogo Stretto. So Jogo Stretto is the plays, the close plays. All right. And the reason why we get into the close plays is because we've been fencing, and most times we both have committed to our attacks, and we end up in a situation where if either of us leave, it could be dangerous. So now I must subdue his weapon, or I must control his hand to be able to initiate. In this one here, I have to be very quick. This is where celeritas comes into a factor. It comes about tempo. We have equal opportunity to do it, so I have to be first to be able to initiate this one. Be very quick. All right, so from here, he has a series of plays. If he pushes across the line, I can shoot forward with a pommel strike. After that pommel strike, I can come across the side, just like you saw, one-handed, and make the throw. Okay? I make that defense. If I want to, I can come towards the elbow. I can suppress the elbow and strike. Okay? Then we have most of the plays are on the right side, my right side. Okay? So if we have a series of grabs, so I can come up towards the middle, and I can do with my first remedy master and strike. I can do the same thing. I'll come a little bit deeper into a middle key and strike. If I want, I can simply come across and push. A little bit difficult because he has two hands against the one hand, so it's got to be very fast. It's got to be fast to be able to get through. Right? It's not something I can wait around and try. All right. We also have grabbing the guard, very similarly, and exchanging and thrusting. If he decides to pull back a little bit, right, I can grab the sword, towards the sword in here. I can try to disarm, but if he has a good grip, I don't need to, as long as I have control, and I can make that defense.
Can you do that against lower? Because Murph was arguing with me about it the other day.
I don't want to be the center of this argument, but I'm going to try my best to be the mediator here, okay? So we make this defense, okay? As I come over top, I want to wrap. I want to make sure my sword is free. I want to grab it, okay? Sometimes I can have it tight enough that I might not even have to grab the quillins. I can actually grab it from here. This can be tight enough. A lot of times I have a heavy gambeson on, so I don't have to worry about little incidental cuts with the sword. But ideally, the one that you want to get, okay, is the double arm grab. Okay? So from here, I could help by coming underneath, grabbing, coming around, locking, and both hands. I strike until I can strike no more. I come across with the weapon, and then I can throw. Okay? So it sounds almost like a three-part play, but it is like the ideal situation. The reason being, if If I just come with this, he can literally just leave his one hand, or he has two hands against one. But if I wrap both arms, I don't have to risk one of those coming loose and doing crazy things, okay? I missed one play from the larval section, where we're attacking from the other side. He comes underneath, he pushes the pommel, and he strikes, okay? That's the one I forgot. We have a blade grab as well. So we come here, I can grab the blade, I cut down the same way, cut towards the hands, thrust, whatever, very similar to the one-handed section. If he decides to pull the sword upwards, come across, right, and then I can throw it from here. So I grab the blade and the handle. We're here, as he has the sword, I have the blade and the handle. I can come across to the back of the head, right, and then I can step through.
What circumstance tells you that you should consider a blade grab?
When the blades have stopped moving.
So can you show us?
Yeah. So if we're here, and there's a pause in tempo, the blades have stopped moving, maybe they bit into each other, that's when I can grab the blade. If they're constantly moving, it's not a good idea to try to grab the blade. I can also double up on the sword. Okay. With the right hand, very similar to the half sword he plays. Alright? I can simply come across, push the elbow and strike. We have a series of disarms. Okay? The first one being very similar to what I showed you the dagger on the top. I have both arms. If he really holds onto that sword, I have a really good arm from there with both arms. And I can really try to strike. The second one is going through the middle. As I come up, I go through the middle, and I grab this hand here, and I use the pommel hook. And then I have the pommel. I just come in, grab the pommel, hook with my pommel, and then I have the disarm. And then lastly, I have one where I abandon the sword, so I grab first with the right hand, very similarly. I abandon my sword, I grab. And this one is very important because we kind of think of this one as being like a last resort or something reckless, but a lot of times when we're trying to grab each other's swords and we're disarming, my opponent is doing the same thing. So a lot of times when we're fencing, we end up exchanging swords by some crazy matter because I'm so worried about grabbing his sword and he's grabbing my sword, and then we exchange swords like idiots. And I've done it almost 3 times in one bout. It's crazy to think about, but while you're worrying about this, they're doing the same thing. So sometimes when you're here, right, you want to get rid of one sword, you get one sword available. I think that's why he shows how I think it's important. And we change swords again. See? Those are the swords. We have a couple from the right side. Okay. So this one here is most likely. These ones are good against, especially with thrust, so he comes with the thrust, right? This is here, and I can come with the sword on the other side, and I can throw.
So pause for a second. So you said from the right side. So what do you think is the main difference between with the strato options that you have available between crossing on the right and the left?
Okay, so crossing on the left side, because my right hand is high, I have a lot of these plays where I can come underneath. When I'm crossing from my left side, his right side, my right hand is above, so I can't do the same things. I can do very similar things which I did in the one-handed section, because it's very similar, but because my right hand is above, it's a little bit different. Like I can still grab the pommel and do things like that, like we saw before, right? I can come maybe over top in a lower key, but this is most likely from when we're both exchanging from sinistra, right? When we're in sinistra, we're going the opposite side. And these are some of the PD plays when it comes to the fact. Right? I can even pass through, grab, and throw, okay? And
Can you show that one again? Sorry.
yeah, so even if you give me the thrust, right? If you give me the thrust, I come in here, I come a little bit too far, and I can actually throw. And yeah, that is, there's a few counters as well. I don't know why I'm taking this. It's so nice. Okay, so if he goes into the middle peak, okay, so goes to the middle peak, right? From here, I can turn my blade over, I grab it, put a little bit deeper on the middle peak, and I can turn over, twist over. Okay, so again, one piece here. Oh, I turn my sword over, and I twist. All right, there's a variation to this one as well. Comes through, all right. My sword, instead of turning it this way, I turn it the opposite way. Okay. And that is Joe said.
So, just for completeness sake, you've shown it, but I just want to put a point on it. You mentioned in your wrestling and dagger sections that they found the rest of the book, right? So here we are at the end of the straddle section of the sword. Could you just articulate a little bit how you're seeing the wrestling and dagger come to life?
Yeah, absolutely. So the wrestling becomes very apparent, especially in the straddle section. And when we have keys, it makes it apparent these are keys. This comes from the first remedy master blade. So he directly references dagger sections in these blades. He also shows breaks and he shows throws. So it's a good idea to always have those in mind, those masters that we talked about before when we're in the section. Just for the purpose of, the wrestling is where we start, the dagger is the next biggest section, and then he can directly reference those sections later on in the manuscript by going back to them. And by saying, oh, this is from the play I showed you, from the third play of wrestling. This is the first remedy master, so that you already have it in your head. Okay, that's what okay, now I can go back and think of all those plays, and I can use it towards any of those weapons.
So, Anthony, in the straddle section in PD,
Yeah.
where he's on the other side, do you know the play where you actually enter in with your right hand instead of the left?
So that is a weird play.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to show you as best I can. I try not to show it for a reason. Don't forget it. So this one here, I see him enter with from the right side, comes over top, okay, and he grabs the sword. He has it here, and then we're here. There's another one where John Wood showed in his test, where he comes underneath the middle. And he comes. This one I find a little bit makes more sense. This one where you come through the guard, right? So come through the arm to shoot here. I haven't really figured this one out. It's like
I haven't helped them either.
Yeah. That's a work in progress play for me.
Yeah, it's a work in progress play for me, and I've tried to do it for like 20 years. And
You gotta try harder, man.
And it's very similar to the one that you show up and see on the other side. This one here. There's a lot of debate as to how that one works. John Woods in his test showed that it came from the design that was here, and then he drove it upwards, and he had it here.
Right.
But I don't think personally you can manipulate your opponent's weapon that much. It's a challenge. When we're here, he's not going to let me just simply move the sword around. It has to be there.
What if the tempo of that is upon him starting to exit?
Yeah, could be.
Right.
As he starts
These
to
are
leave,
these are following
as he
actions.
starts to leave, maybe I can follow up on the other side. Right? It's hard to say exactly what he's thinking. Okay.
Other questions for Sarah?
This is kind of conclusion of sword in two hands, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so two questions. Getting back to the natures of the guards, or the post there. He mentions a couple things about what they're good for. So you also demonstrated everything for posted dilemma. There are some posters that are good at coming to straddle. What are they?
Okay. So, in my opinion, a lot of times, a lot of people think that middle ladder gate is very good for coming to straddle because he comes, he throws his attack, I step and I bind, right? Most of my experiences with straddle come from the thrust, defense against the thrust. And that the reason is because he's thrusting, I'm even trying to get in there, and then we're already here, right? I'll show you the other side because this is more likely to where we end up in place. And up here, and we're pretty close. And I step forward and straddle. This is a lot of times where I find myself in straddle. You can argue that these guards coming down and attacking, if we're both committing, are good for straddle, Morse tooth. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint one or the other. Because I think even the point forward guards, if I'm thrusting, he's thrusting here, then we're in straddle. A lot of times, this is where I've seen other people online in their fencing abilities, and if it's straddle, from the thrust. Because we're both committing. Because we're from here, I don't really want to close. right? I wanna kill him, what the sword is designed for.
Yeah.
I don't wanna end up in wrestling if I know that we both have equal opportunity to do so, or we have daggers or whatever. I wanna be able to stay away and use the measure. But if I thrust, you thrust, then you're right?
Yeah.
So that's where I kind of find myself.
Okay. And the second question is more of it's a language question.
Yeah.
Because a lot of ones stretch are super loaded terms. They can mean a lot of different things. So you can say close, wide, constrained, whatever. In your opinion, what fundamentally separates those two concepts?
So the difference between the large place, long place, which is largo, and stretto, which means tight, confined, is the ability to leave carefully. I cannot leave when I'm in stretto, and I kind of know that. We're both in stretto, and I try to pull back, and I'm in danger. Then then I realize I have to move forward. My only option from here, my best option, is to push forward. Okay, but this is kind of a reactionary. I can push for stretto, but I have to be very careful because if my opponent wants to stay away from it, then I find myself chasing, and they can stay away as much as they can, and I'm in a danger. I'm losing my measure by trying to push stretto. And my experience fencing with people that don't want to be there, that don't want to wrestle, they're going to stay out of it as best they can. But the people that understand it are going to do a little more. Right? So within the solid, we kind of find ourselves, okay, now here we are, we're in straddle, we're going to push forward, right? A lot of people talk about footedness, maybe because we're both right foot forward, or we're both left foot forward, both matched. I don't think it's necessarily a footedness thing. I think it's the distance, and the fact that I realize if I try to leave now, I can be killed. So it's no longer a play of the sword, it becomes a play of the hand. And subduing my opponent and controlling my opponent.
Okay, thank you.
I want to revisit a kind of question I asked you earlier. So from post di data on the right, he says you can break and you can exchange thrusts. But post di data on the left, you can only break thrusts. Why do you think that is?
It could be from his footedness. Depends on how he's striking. If I'm just from here, right, I might not have the same exchange.
What's weaker about trying to exchange on that side?
Because I'm crossing.
Yeah.
Right, I'm crossing my hands as opposed to here, my hands are open. So from here, I'm crossing my thrust. It's not as strong.
Right.
As when I'm thrusting from
So what you'll find is all the guards on that side, he never wants you to exchange that way, because like you said, you're crossed, which means
your hands are crossed.
You're not as safe, right?
Right.
So, in the context of coming to stretto, what are the two ways that one could come to stretto?
The two ways.
Two ways.
Mostly when I'm coming in stretto is when I'm passing. When I'm just increasing my feet, I can stay largo. As soon as I start to pass, I'm committing to my attack. So that's one way that I can definitely get into stretto is when I'm passing forward and I've expended that tempo by passing forward. The second one could be from a reaction. For example, if my opponent's pushing forward, right? I can increase and I'm in distance. And that could be from a thrust or a cut. That's defense. Or I can initiate it by really passing forward for a step and then initiating that strike by the opponents. If I was a bigger person and I know I can overpower them, that might be something I want to do.
Okay, good. So you touched on the part that the circumstances. This is the way I put it. I can come to stretto if I step with my cover. Then I'll end up in stretto.
Right.
Or I can come to stretto if he steps with his cover. Right? So I can be attacking, if he steps with his cover, we're in stretto. Or if he's attacking and I step with my cover, we're in stretto. So I can get there in two ways. One, he's doing it to me. The other way, I'm doing it to them. Right?
Yeah, because if it's a committed attack, then
Right.
hopefully I kill them because of that. But if it's a cover, then we're both.
Because if you step with your cover, you abandon largo.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And you'll both end up with your right foot forward.
Right.
And then he says, either one of you can do this.
That's right.
Okay, so, that concludes the unarmored, theory portion of the test, so now
Can I
we'll.
just do the,
Yep.
I want to do one more section unarmored?
Oh, yes, please. Yeah.
So we're gonna do the,
Right, of course, I was just testing you.
You passed, A plus.
Yeah.
A plus. Way to go, Aaron. Yeah, very tough.
Where's the narrative?
Good cut.
Where's the narrative?
No, it's gonna happen. Sure.
Okay.
So this is one of the sections where it's
Throw them towards the crowd, not the mirror.
This was a big one. Okay. So this is a spear against 2 sticks. I know, it seems weird.
This sticks, man.
2 sticks. So this one here is shown in tail guard, and this one is shown in closing guard. What's interesting about this play is that it's one of the only times he shows 2 weapons. Okay? And basically as my opponent attacks, I want to immediately and strike with this beautiful log here. The next one he shows from there, if I want, I can strike, I can throw it, I can strike with my dagger. Okay? Yeah, I think the reason behind showing these sticks is just trying to show the versatility of the art. Not that these sticks have any kind of reason or rhyme, just trying to show like if I put 2 sticks together, I can stop it, a spear, right? To show that I can use pretty much anything. I can use a chair if I want to be able to make these covers, especially if I have 2 things. It could be a scabbard and sword, or it could be 2 daggers or whatever. As long as I have 2 objects, one of them binds against a spear, and the other one strikes, then I can use them. And that's what the beauty of where he's trying to show that it's not both the weapons, it's both the arts, what you can do with it. And anything can be applied. Okay. Next one we have the staff. And this one here, my staff is in the ground, very much like I'm a wanted wizard or something of the sort, right? He comes to me with the spear and wants to kill me. All right, what I want to do is as he's passing through, I want to offset it, pull up my dagger, and strike. Okay? I can do it either side if I want to, so if he comes here, but this side is not as good because I'm crossing.
So why are you offsetting it?
Why am I offsetting the point?
No, sorry, let me ask a more intelligent question. Why, so I don't, that's not what I meant. Why, explain your starting post there.
So this situation is where this is almost like a middle iron gate where my staff is in the middle, okay? And it's right down the center line, so I want to control the center line with the staff. And once I control the center line, either way he comes, okay, give me a series of strikes, just defend it by offsetting it, okay? And then from here, I pull my dagger and strike. All right, and then
What words should you say right there? Isn't there something like you cannot pass?
You said wizard, that's very great. You've got a wizard too. That's
or
it.
sword just magic from now. Okay, so if I were to do that to him, right? I'll throw my attack. And he decides to parry me to the outside here. I'll show you this way. Okay, I throw my attack. He decides to pull that dagger out, right? I come over top. And I can use that defense. Parry the dagger, and I strike. Right? If he parries me to the inside, okay? I'm not as likely to do this because I don't have this option. I can try to come around, which is a little bit because of the angle of the thrust. Right, if he parries here, I can come around. But essentially, if he has this side here, that's my counter. Ready? I think that's the unarmored section.
Is that it now? Okay.
That's it.
All right, so now what we'll do, so we'll adjourn and let you guys sufficiently armor for the last of the theory. Okay?
Doing very well.
Yeah. you're doing very well. Okay, so maybe, well.
Yeah, you guys will get to it.
armor.
Good. So now we start the plays of the armor. The first section I'm going to show is the armored longsword. Okay? So the armored longsword of this period, of that time that Fiore described, would look a little bit different from this. The equivalent would be sharp and pointed. The pommel would be spiked. This guard would be a little bit longer than there's usually a section where the hand would fit. Okay? Some of the guards of the sword are true cross, bastard cross, middle iron gate, short serpent, high serpent, and then we have archers there. Okay? Some of them they can move through each other. So, for example, true cross and serpent flow easily through one another. Bastard cross flows nicely to high serpent. Middle iron gate is a good starting guard to start our thrusts. Right? It's a lot hard. It's very hard for my point to see the point that's down low. And then archer kind of is his own thing. The archer, in my opinion, is kind of a guard where you can choke up on the point. It's almost like an offshoot of short serpent. You can choke up on the point. Right from here, if I want to choke up on the point, find a different spot, thrust. And it's also good for like very similar to one-handed charge thrust. Okay. So my opponent's going to give me, partner's going to give me a few attacks. I'm going to go through some of the very supposed to. Okay. Okay. So these guards here, short serpent, high serpent, they're best for thrusting or already being engaged. High serpent is not a very good defensive guard, as you just saw. I don't really have much. I could, if you throw me a cut, right, I can exchange from here. But for the thrust, it's very dangerous because I'm really exposing my tender bit. In the male, for example, any exposed male is where I want to thrust. Thrust into the plate is useless. Cutting to the plate is useless. Okay? So my targets are going to be the face first, provided that the visor is not strong. If the visor has big openings in the oculata, I could attempt to thrust towards it, but it's not always a sure bet. So Fiore describes, if the visor is strong, I want to pick the throat or the armpits, inside the arms, the hands, behind the knees, and of course the groin. But going for low targets follows the same kind of idea as before. When I go for low targets, he can come high, so I have that problem. The only thing is I'm in armor, so I have a little bit more liberty to do crazy things, right? Because it's a little bit more forgiving. So most of the
Can we pause there just super briefly? So in this demonstration, of course, we're presuming that you are armored up exactly as the end.
Right.
Though you're not right now for convenience because of the rest of the evening. Can you say some of the most striking differences between being unarmored and armored that you encounter when you're trying to do the art? Some of the most striking challenges about wearing the armor.
Okay, so the difference being unarmored, of course, is that you're vulnerable to cuts and thrusts and a lot of other crazy things. In armor, you're almost invulnerable, okay? But that comes with a very heavy cost. And that cost is your fatigue. So you might think you're completely invulnerable. Of course, there are thrusts that can penetrate, but they have to be very, very hard, committed thrusts, and they have to usually be very good to get through the mail, because just a simple poke through the mail is not going to suffice. You have to really drive through to get that penetration. And to kill an armored opponent, it's usually not from one decisive hit. It's usually from a multitude of stabs that makes them slowly bleed out and fall asleep and die. Okay. Like I was saying, the weakest thing about being in armor is conserving your movement and not being. You can't be too liberal. You can't be moving around doing crazy things. You have to be very selective with your motions so that you're not expending energy for no reason, because you could be fighting this person and then you could be fighting another person or another person, and who knows. And so you have to be very, very precise with your movements, and you have to be exact and not try not to waste too much energy. So that's the price of wearing armor. How does the head affect you? The head? Okay, so strikes with the sword are a nuisance. It might ring his bell a little bit, but they're not gonna do very much damage.
I mean, how does wearing it, I'm
Oh,
almost,
the breathing.
sorry. How
Okay.
does, yeah.
So the breathing is very difficult. Some people chose to fight with the visor up or the visor not at all. A lot of times when they're on wheel mounted, you would have the visor down. When you're on horseback, if you knew you were in a big battle situation, you wouldn't even bother with the visor because it's definitely going to slow your breathing down. As you're breathing, not enough oxygen is being CO2 is being expelled. It's sitting in the visor, so you want to constantly be pushing that arrow as you're sucking up. So there are a lot of drawbacks, a lot of learning curve to wearing the helmet over an extended period of time. And of course, in that period, they didn't have all these little fancy buttons that we have here. They were fixed, so they would be moving around pretty freely. We don't have a lot of evidence that they were completely confined, they weren't locked in place. The later period helmets had a lot of different mechanisms, but this period here, they were able to move it freely. But of course, in duels and one-on-one, they would use their visors down because you know that you're fighting one opponent, you don't have to worry so much. We'll fight a whole bunch of people. He could be fighting me unarmored. I could be a peasant. I could be partly armored. I could just be wearing mail. So this might affect his tactics, where he could be thrusting or cutting towards whatever I have exposed. So not everybody was fully armored. There was people that were partially armored at the time, and we have records of this as well. But in this section in particular, we're both armored, fully armored opponents, okay? So
Thank you.
both have the
That's
same advantages.
sufficient, thank you.
Okay, so all of the defenses, you want to move over so you can come from true thrust, all right? So the initial is if he wants to give me a thrust, right? I defend off to the side. I come across, I want to pull my point on line, and I want to thrust. If I'm thrusting to the throat, I want to push through. If I'm thrusting to the visor and he's visor, I can lift the visor and thrust the face, Fiore says. All right. If I don't have that target, I can also thrust towards the armpits, the exposed male. Okay. So that's my primary. My primary is to make that single attack. He throws, I cross, and I thrust the face. Okay. If by chance I miss my target, he throws his attack. Miss my target, I'm here. I can throw him from here. So what I do is I want to make a V with my sword, my gauntlet. I want to come underneath, and Leander's got a nice helmet because his mail sits underneath it. I can actually hook underneath of it, and I can toss him to the side here. And with an armored opponent, as soon as you get their head over, their body will fall. Because the center of mass is higher than when he's unarmed. As soon as I get that helmet over, it's very easy to get him down. Not easy when we're both standing erect, but as soon as I start to get that helmet over, it's a different story, okay? So I have that here. I have this thrust. I have this thrust, I have this throw. If I want, I can even come behind the head, and I can throw him to the ground, right? Left or right, or I can even simply just drop him. If we're crossing the middle from that initial engagement, and he pushes me aside, I can strike with the pommel, okay? I can strike with the quillins. So the side of the quillins, the head, this is very jarring because these would be pointed as well. I strike, pommel, quillin, and I can also hook the same way. I can hook the pommel the same way because my bell gauntlet has this flare. I can come underneath, and I can lift. So there's a lot of different things, but like I was saying with the cut, if my opponent does cut me, I am full armor, I still have to engage, because that cut can easily become a thrust. If it finds its point, right, towards the male, and I do nothing, he can still thrust me, right? So I have to make sure I respond to the attack. If I disregard the cut, I can do it in hopes of landing my own advantageous attack, but I always want to make sure I watch for that cut because it can become a thrust. Okay, so those are some of the defenses from there. We also have some of the keys as well. So it goes to the top, right? From here, with the arm. And from here, these keys are a little bit different because I gotta get a little bit lower. When I come up here, there's a lot of hardwood. It's very hard to throw them from here. I want to get a little bit closer towards the elbow. Good. Next one, I can also to do the same thing. I can use the sword. I can use the sword here. Once I have the sword, I have the back. I can thrust, I can throw my dagger. If we're engaged in the middle, at any point if I'm wrestling around, right here, I can put the elbow, I can strike, I can come here, and I have his back.
So when you're engaged in that situation,
Yeah.
and I'm sure we'll see this in subsequent sections, what is your general focus?
So when I'm
What do
engaged
you-
in the middle,
Yeah, and you're crossing the middle just like that.
my initial focus is either get the point on line and thrust to one of these mailed areas. I'm going to twist and strike, but the strike is not a be all and end all. It's not a fight ender. From here, if I strike, I want to move to a throw. Okay? If I can, right, I want to be able to maybe want to break the hold of the sword. And even if he has one hand for a second, it's going to give me the advantage to do something else. And whenever you're doubling up on the weapons, if you can strip their hands for even a minute, for a moment, it gives you that kind of tempo to be able to do something. So it's got that advantage. We also have one more throw. This one here, we're both here, we're out. I come underneath, and I step through his arm, and I step through. Okay? This one here, it doesn't seem too apparent when you're not wearing armor. When you're wearing armor, it's actually very terrifying. Because he's actually, I'm just subduing him, and as soon as I step here, and he feels off balance, you feel a lot of weight moving backwards. And I didn't understand this play until I started doing a little bit more in free play with armor, and then it started becoming more apparent. Okay? And then the last one, if I were to throw a thrust, right? You throw his attack, his defense, right? We're here. I simply just want to put up my blade, hand high, point low. That's a counter. I can do a lot of the same things from master cross as well, right? And it's eye serpent, right? The only difference with master cross is that I'm thumbs opposed as opposed to thumbs aligned. And just my, this one is a little bit refused, but not completely, because I can't see if I'm completely refused in armor. It's very hard to see, so you still want to be forward facing, okay? And master cross is a little bit more forward facing, okay? That is sword and armor.
No other questions?
You can raise your visor a little bit.
All right, let's proceed. I have one question. Oh,
Yeah.
Tell me about the constraints of footwork in armor.
Constraints of footwork. So with like I was saying before, you cannot move the same way in armor. Your lateral movements a little bit harder. Okay. You have to be a little bit more erect when you're fencing. If you start to be a little bit forward leaning, you're going to end up on the ground, very simply. And then also your vision is impaired. So you want to make sure that you're a little bit more erect as you're moving, so that also all the weight is not pushing down on your back. Because when you're standing straight, all the weight is focused and it's dispersed throughout your body, as opposed to when you start to move forward a little bit, it's going to definitely wear out on you. So you want to be a little bit straighter as you're moving, okay? And you can't be as liberal as you're with your footwork, because you're going to expend energy.
by liberal, do you mean?
Just constant movement in your defense. Doing this in armor, you can do it. You're not going to last that long.
Okay.
Okay? Good?
Good.
Okay, next I'm going to go into spear. So I'm going to go into spear next. Okay? So this is a spear. This is actually longer than usual spear. The short spear would be just a little bit taller than me. I've got obviously the point of the spear. This is just for thrusting. This is not a thrust and cut weapon. The spears of the time would either have a steel cap, or they would be a small spear of itself. Okay? So you can spear from either side. This one not as big as this one, but sometimes they were capped, and sometimes they were spearheaded. Alright, so some of the guards of the spear. We have on the right side, full iron gate, middle iron gate, close to finesse. I'm so glad I didn't get out of armor because I could actually do this. This is close to finesse. It's crossed, okay? And we have horse tooth on the other side. And horse tooth, for some reason, the point is upwards. I think it's just pretty much full iron gate, which is on the other side. True cross, and then finesse strut sleeves to that. So he's gonna give you some of the attacks, some crosses. And then one thing to mention, Fiore shows my opponent in a guard like this as they're thrusting, like this, right? Mostly from a high guard. We don't know exactly why. This is, for example, a pretty good thrust, but you're not couched, okay? And what I mean by couched is when you're thrusting your opponent, you want to make sure that your here it's really tied to your body and anchored to your body. You can't be poking around. This is going to do nothing in this armor opponent. You got to make sure it's nice and solid towards your body, and you thrust with your whole body to be able to penetrate that male. So just an armor, just a movement like this, it might be annoying, but to get under two panes of mail, not going to happen. Okay? So when you're thrusting, full thrust with the body. Okay? So some of the defenses, when it comes across, right up here, exchange the pull. I can choke up on the spear as need be. If I'm too close, I can choke up on it and I can thrust. If I end up too close, and so the objective here is to control the center line with the hand. Okay? I'm going to come directly across, give you a thrust again, directly across, control that center line, couch and thrust. If it's a low line attack, okay, I want to make sure I use the low end of the spear to set it up and thrust. Okay? Those are the defenses. Then there's some follow-up from there. For example, if I'm here, he throws his attack, I go to thrust, he pushes it aside, I come with the back end, and I step and thrust. Okay? This could be a strike, but it really won't do much. But I want to make sure I thrust with that towards the spear. And then from here I can do a lot of different things I showed before. I can hook with the pommel, hook to the back of the neck and throw. Okay? I also can do from across the middle, up through, right? I can use my weapons in various ways to get them down with the spear. There's very similar ways to do everything I just showed with the spear. And that's the spear. Okay?
I would just like to add one thing.
Yeah.
So in the system, it shows your opponent at one time with his thumbs together.
Yeah.
This way. The entire German spear system is thumbs together.
Wow, could it be a correlation between the two? Just saying that this is how it's.
So the way that
This is actually a good
the way the
provocation.
Germans fight with spears,
It's
thumbs.
very good. You can provoke your opponent really well with this. Up and down. Just like high circuit.
And there's no guards on the other side.
Nothing.
There's only two guards.
That's it. Spear's a simple weapon. It doesn't need to be overly
Yeah,
complicated.
Germans are simple people.
You heard it here first, folks. Yeah, that's like. Next we have the pole axe. All right, the pole axe. So the pole axe has a few different parts that are different from the sword. You have the axe of the pole, of the hammer. So this has these cornels that you strike with. And sometimes they look a little bit different from place to place, and a lot of museums have different ones. These ones are a little bit more spiked, so that if you were to grab into the mail, you can actually pull and yank and tear that mail, with some of the ones that have a little bit more spike to them. You have these lugs on the side. These ones are a little bit more pronounced than some of the ones that you can see existently, but these of course become the side and strike. and they can definitely deter your opponent from trying to grab the head as well. And then you have the dagger, or the spear point. And this is very good for thrusting, like we saw before. And then we have the back end, so nicely just painted by my friends at Guelph, to show that this also has a very nice spearhead as well. Sometimes they're small with a little point, but good for making that same counter that we saw in the spear section. So there's two ways of kind of using the full axe. Some people like to use it really axe heavy, and the thrust is secondary. And some people like to use it as a spear first of all, and as a strike secondary. So it's two kind of, they're both the same, but you can focus in on the thrust and use it secondary, or you can use your attack as the strike first, okay? So some of the guards with full axe, we have our horse tooth. We have posta finestra, with this one here is not crossed. We have true cross, short serpent, Poseidona, and then tail, okay? So some of these guards can flow through each other the same way. So tail can come into posta finestra, true cross can come into short serpent, and then Poseidona can come into horse tooth. Yes, okay. So these are going to be some attacks, and I'm going to do some of the different guards. This one here I can use the butt end as well. It comes across. Extra. So you want to employ both sides of the weapon freely, all right, as we move around. A little bit hard to cross as I'm striking when I'm in full armor. A little bit, it's easy for you to see it here because I'm wearing half armor, but what you're going to do is employ one of the same strikes. Okay, so full axe. One of them we have, for example, is the break the point. Goes the attack. I break the point. I can thrust with the back, with the deep of the full axe. I can step on the head, hopefully break it or disarm it. Strike as well. Okay. If he tries to strike towards my leg, I can do the same thing. I can strike here as well. Fiore describes also we're here in the middle. For some reason, if I don't have my pole arm, I can lift his visor and drag him down with the visor, but that would probably require both arms. Okay. We have break a point on the other side. If I'm here, I end up here for some reason, I end up down. I put the pole axe behind him, cover his visor so he can't see. I step behind. It's important that you cover this one here. With the pole axe, you're going to end up breaking the point a lot more than you would with a sword because of the weight of the head. So as we're trying to stuff it down, it's going to hit down a lot easier. And he just describes if you put that axe to your head, you can do it left or right. That covers vision and his breathing, right? And I can step through. Okay? Pole axe. Okay. Pole axe also has, if I'm just across the middle, right, I want to disarm. I don't need both pole axes, right? I grab the top, underneath. Right? So what I want to do is I want to come over top his hands, reverse twist, so he uncrosses his hands, come back and strike. And then of course pole axe has the same thing, we're in the middle, I can come down, I can come the lower key, and I like to use the pole axe as well. Good? Yeah. There's a couple other pole axe plays as well.
And kill it, hit me on the side of the head, and I dislodge it, and I land my ear and mustache. Get it out, get it out. Good idea, but the execution is hard.
So that's what he showed. Right on here, I have a pole axe. I have this chain on my pole axe. All right, I can strike with it as well. Come around here. Right, usually you want to aim on one leg, and this is a work in progress, guys. This is you want to come around one leg. They hook into each other, and then you would pull, and you disarm your opponent. Okay? The next one, make your cover. Make your cover. Oh. You're cleaning that up. You're cleaning that up, buddy. This one here, he has a little, he drills holes in it, and he puts caustic powder in, and when he makes his cover, he attacks, and he goes into their eyes. Hopefully it's not a windy day and it's going to blow back in your face. We're in a nice comfortable environment here. Fire! Just like he's in a ball boy. You don't play the full axe.
Sweep! Sweep!
Hurry over! Alright. You want to take a quick look at the divider? That's the full axe.
Okay, so there's a few plays in the book, some of which you've shown, the treatment, you know, the I Could Ruin Your Happy Party play, caustic powder, the weird device and shit. There's a bunch of these plays where it seems like Fiore is showing something that's less serious than the rest of what he's trying to describe. How do we, what kind of story do we have for that? Why it's in there? What is Fiore trying to do?
It could be just boasting, because he does tell, you know, his proprietor that, you know, these are not noble plays, and these are not something that you probably do. You know, these are not noble arts, but something to know. Maybe that it's out there, maybe he's encountered it, but or it might just be like showing off and look how much I know about all these plays and all these different things you can do. Obviously, from what you saw in the first one, it's not something that's very viable. Maybe 1 in 10 times if I can be able to pull it off. I really wouldn't waste my time with something crazy like that. The caustic powder could work, but it's risky because that stuff could easily blow back in your face. And from what I've seen people kind of playing with it outside, once it goes in your face and your mat and your helmet, it is deadly because it just fills your helmet. But it's,
He looks awful right now. Yeah.
I don't think that's from the powder that did that. It's from the pros. But yeah, I think it's a lot of just kind of showing off and trying to sell the art to his
Do you also think that the lesson there is that the world is populated with assholes that will do things that you don't expect?
I think you can see that this system here, it's a very brutal and it's not, they're supposed to be noblemen, but when you've seen some of the things, it's not very noble, right? It's, you gotta win. This is not a joke. You're here to kill your opponent and win by any means necessary. And these are the kind of things where, you know, you might see in like Japanese 80s movies or something like that, but you know, there are things that could be possible, right? To have a chain on a weapon, something tricky to get your edge up on your opponent. Okay. One more thing I want to show is just talking about spear. You don't have to. So if my opponent does thrust me, and for example, I use my weapon and the pull out the spear lands somewhere, and it's not completely penetrated from my mail, I want to do a lot of things we saw in the 5th rugby master. So I can use this to come across and get the head of the spear, or I'm not wearing a helmet, but I can come up across, and I can actually use my helmet to leverage and break across and pull axe. So a lot of times what happens is, you know, the spear might come, it might actually come underneath the armor, right? Especially the small one. It gets stuck here, and it might get stuck for a second, and he has that moment to break. Or it might actually really cut right through the abattail. You get stuck in the abattail. So these are kind of plays that he kind of describes. That's it.
Yes. Pull out questions first, then you can ask questions.
Okay, bring in the horse.
Yeah. All right, so for the mounted section, the instruction is, can you please comment to us what you learned from the mounted section to apply to the other sections you've already shown?
So the mounted section uses a lot of what we saw before into being on horseback. You see a lot of the same kind of guards it talks about horse 2, talks about Poseidon. The only difference is that this is basically exchange of point, some of it is straddle, some of it's kind of implied that you know how to already joust on horseback. He shows different guards on different strikes. So one of them is where he's couched. One of them is where the lance is up high, or the short spear is up high, and this way. And one of them is a low provocation thrust towards the horse's head. And he's just pretty much reiterating that you can use everything that you learn on foot on horseback, rather than going into extreme detail about jousting and being able to use your horse and all these kind of things. I was talking to my friend Bruce here last week. We had a conversation about the mounted section, and that the way that the horses are drawn kind of indicates the speed that they're moving. And of the period, if both feet were sprayed out, this would say that this would be a full gallop. If it was just the two front feet were up and the feet were underneath, it would be a canter. And if they were just 1 foot up, it would most likely be walking. So you can kind of see the difference of the speeds between both parties. And this is something that Bruce has told me has been drawn throughout history up until the 19th century. So most people saw this and they already knew, looking at the pictures, the speed of the horses.
So while it's true that we typically mostly focus on the Getty when we're studying the book, there are 4 other versions, of course, and some of them have the mounted section first. So how do we, or do you have any opinion as to, for the versions of Fiore where the mounted section begins the book, how to, would your opinion to that change? What you just said, or
I don't know if I know exactly why it was presented first. It could be just miscategorizing it through the years. I would preferably like to start off from the ground up as a system, like shown in the Getty, where it starts from the wrestling, builds the foundation of the art, and works its all the way up to the most complicated things, which I think being on horseback is the most complicated of a whole martial system for a knight at the time. Maybe it was just, some people are more attuned to fighting on horseback than they are fighting on foot. Who knows?
That's sufficient, thank you. Any pointed questions about the mounted material?
Yeah, sure. What are some special considerations for the sword specifically on horseback?
On horseback? Yeah. Okay, so pretty much on horseback, there's 2 guards. He shows both underground. The considerations are that you only have one hand on the sword. You have to have the reins at some point, because you are still steering the horse, even though what I know you can steer the horse to a certain level with your legs, but at the same point, if you're fighting with 2 hands, the horse has no real direction. So 2 guards, one of them is the tail guard on horseback, and the other one is posted on which is on the left shoulder here. Okay. So I'm going to do some of the lance plays first. Okay. And I have 0 experience with.
So just to be clear, so we're not going to ask you to go through all the plays of mounted, but
and I'm not going to show all the plays. So.
Show the ones you wish.
Right. I have 0 experience on horseback, so I'm going to explain to you as an ignorant person that just walks on 2 legs. Okay? So this one, if my opponent has the lance couch, all of the plays are shown crossing towards my right side. They're not crossed towards the left, as you would see in a typical joust. And the reason for this is because I have a lot more mobility, a lot more leverage on my spear to move around from the right side. So we would think that at that period, a lot of the crossing would be from the right. Okay? So, my horse's head is here. This is called horse 2. Okay? As they're coming across, exchange and thrust. Right? And then, if I were to do that, if he were to go into horse 2 the same way, right? And I were to come across, right? I can come across and take the spear, right? The only way to get across that is if I couch the spear on the opposite side and change the angle of the spear by couching the other opposite. Okay? If I see, if I have my sword, and I'm then Bolsidona, as he's coming across, I have to exchange and thrust. If I exchange and I'm too close, I can hook around and throw him. Okay. And then, alright, switch. He goes into that guard, and I'm here, and I see the sword, and I know as soon as he passes the point, I'm screwed, the rest of this is useless, so I end up just thrusting towards the horse's head. Because I have the range. And all options are on the table here for the horsepower. Also, if he goes to give me an attack, I'm in tail. I come across just like on foot. Okay? I can come across. I can go with the sword as well. And if we're in close grapple, close range, I can actually reach down. If I don't have a sword, I can reach down and grab the stirrups and pull up the stirrups and my horse in that way. If I'm on the opposite direction, I can grab the bit of the horse, pull the horse's head up as he's riding by to dislodge him. If we don't have our sword door at the minute or whatever, I can simply take these tools here, or I can come and show the one that comes to the back end. He pulls it this way as he's riding by, and he has one. Where the butt end of the spear is tied off to the saddle, and this gives an extra leverage to the spear. Actually acts as like two hands on it, so I can keep the reins on. So even if I'm passing here, I can actually clothesline him with the spear, and that chain will act as a lever. Facilitate that. And then lastly, for example, if we pass and we get each other and he's coming around, and he comes around first, I can keep my spear here, and I can thrust backwards as I come around at every gate. Okay? That's why I love the holding back section. There's one more section.
One last question. So what if you caught your enemy riding back towards his fortress? What would you do?
Stop him. As he's riding away.
In the back?
In the back. Right as he's riding away, stop in the back.
In the butt end? Yeah. All right.
Wherever you want to stop him.
That's a good
One
one.
more.
Thank you.
Keep your spear.
Mounted?
Yeah, one more mounted. Yeah. One more weapon.
Oh, yes.
When he talks about
Yeah.
the gabarina. The gabarina is it's a pole arm in essence, but it's a spear. It's a spear pole arm, so it can cut and thrust. Very similar to the partisan. This is actually what. So what you would do is I'm in horse tooth, and as my opponent's in a full gallop towards me, I'm going to cut and thrust towards the face. If he's armored, this is not going to be that good. I can cut and thrust. If he does push me aside afterwards, from here, I push aside, I can come with the back end, and I can thrust very similar to what we do. That is the story.
Well, all right. So unless you have any concluding remarks, that will conclude the theory portion. Of course, unless anybody has any final questions about any section, anything in general, now's the time. And if not, looks like not, then what we'll do is we'll all gear up and get ready for the fencing portion.
I have one final question.
Very good.
Why do you do this?
My wife asks me all the time. I think that once I came to the school and I jumped into the art, at first when it hits you, it seems a little bit abstract and weird when you look at the manuscript, but once you get to the essence of it, it's such a beautiful art. And Fiore in itself is a good, I would like to call it a tree. It's the main bark of a tree that can split off to many different masters and different weapons. But as a basis, I like to have Fiore because he shows so much about footwork and wrestling and close plays that you might not see with other weapons. So it's a beautiful foundation, and I think that it's something that I want to study the rest of my life and constantly go back to. And there are still plays that I still want to work on and still want to. And I think that it's such a complete art in itself that someone can spend 30 years looking at it and still be surprised. And that's something that I really want.
comment, I think your wife would appreciate the fact that Emma is the other woman.
So we're gonna break for 5-ish minutes. We're all gonna kit up. And, well, actually, it will have to be longer because we'll armor dress, I think now is when you.
You mean right now?
Kit up now, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so everybody's gonna kit up, and then we'll resume. Okay. Very good.
So,
Yeah.
why don't you leave that down for the first two fights? Like for the grappling and grappling and dagger? I don't care, don't do it if you don't want to.
I don't know.
I just know people might be being thrown for the.
I mean, it's not, the floor's okay. Do you mind wrestling on the bare floor? Do you want to have that down? Or do you not care? Do you want to have that down for the wrestling dead or no? We can use it for wrestling down. Yeah, I'm asking if you want it. It doesn't matter. Leave it down. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Bill's gonna throw me around.
It'll be easy to get. Yeah.
Okay. Armor and
We'll just take it on
Canvases for now?
Yeah.
And then as soon as we do short, I'm just gonna put on a little bit more protection.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
Okay.
And the line up for the Los Angeles?
All right. These tables are gonna go.
Pretty good, yourself?
Excuse me.
He's around. You need beating? Definitely not Aaron, he's not more handsome. What do you need?
No, I just want to say hello.
I know the views. I don't know if they have a. Yeah.
Just being polite. Excuse me. I know it's so it's unlike me. I know.
This is a change.
Right? Listen, I'm an asshole. That's what God made me.
Congratulations.
I am as God made me.
You're doing well at it,
Okay, I need a chair.
Bo, the stuff is on the bottom.
It's gonna stay down for.
It's really like a distraction because I see like
We're thinking differently there, but too.
Yeah, no, it's all right. It's okay. I'm wrong.
swordmaster. You never do that.
I know. It's a curse. My blessing is my curse. It is.
Yeah, I need that.
So we're harnessing up this chair.
Well, it takes me forever. Yeah, I know I sit in that chair. I just want to get like, I don't want to lose my stuff.
So I wanted to get the call in.
Stuff not going to bars here? I'm not. No, it's just. I'm great. I'm trying to, Victoria's been doing some stuff. That makes sense.
Well, I got the only one that's cool with all kinds of stuff, and I just wanted to make sure that my person. Okay.
Oh, there.
Okay, this
You good? Didn't you?
Turn me on, baby.
Yep. Which arm and sword am I using?
I tried.
I brought
It's all right.
I brought a whole bunch down, so you have your pick.
Or I can pull it on the
Yes. Right. You want that reading?
I'm wearing my coupon.
Okay, so I have the one never worn. You want the gift?
Well, it's up to you if you wear yours or not. I'm wearing mine.
I want to wear it, but
Yeah.
one thing about my executive strap.
Don't worry about it. I just want to let you know.
Yeah.
It seems to go on easier, but it remains to be seen if it's
So Leandra, I have you to thank for my new hockey pants.
Oh, that's a great idea.
It's actually way more comfy than my other job.
It's way more comfortable.
Yeah, because this is like compression. It's just kind of, it keeps it there. The other ones I have, it's just like a strap.
No, I never see. I gave up on wearing a couple of them. It was just a nuisance. A few times I might get hit, but the hockey pants are great.
I will say, I learned something new about relax play where it's pretty light. The target when you get play is here in the underground. As you go down, you're sitting on it.
You mean the tape? Ain't that what it, ain't that the medical term for it? Tape?
Right on the second hole.
You fall on it?
I'm pretty sure it didn't.
That's why Henry VIII had full armor under his crotch and his ass.
That one time.
Did you notice how he said that's what said stab me?
Clear it out.
That's what it said. Then my bag did. My bag did. I'm like, ah,
But actually, if I need your help. So, well, that's what we're doing. And then after the dagger's done, it's gonna go. Yeah, we'll just rip it apart quick and yeah, bring it.
That's something to appreciate.
Yeah.
oh, I did my verse.
But I see in all these years you've never shortened the strap.
No.
Oh, there's one lace that goes all the way up. Yeah. If you shorten it, it ends up being not longer as well. No, sorry, what it is, if you shorten it, you have to lace it.
Oh, okay.
It's just very
Yeah.
well, you know what it is? That's what I do. But the thing is, you gotta admit, when you have harness, you try to find little ways to make it easier for it.
Yeah. My way is to have
Well, you know what though? For the longest time, it was me and Cal and Brian, me and Cal and me and Brian. So I had to figure out how to put my harness on by myself. But I actually, well, no, because they needed somebody to help them. So all the time I'd be practicing harness by myself. It wasn't like today where there's so many people in armor, man. It's like,
Well, that last Sunday was the funnest.
that was amazing.
Yeah, that was great.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, because everybody, so they came to Guelph. We have a barber practice on Sundays.
When you go out to the hour, 10 o'clock.
All the kids that a hangover? Nice and wonderful in the helmet.
Just saying that out loud.
I've been in that class.
Oh, no. I won't get on a plane hungover, and I won't get into it hungover.
I've been on a plane.
Oh, I've been on it. I just won't do it anymore because it's agony. It's hours of just sitting there going, oh God, I want to die.
I generally just sleep.
These guys, all of this part, but actually, well ties together. So it's great. It's Graham's number now. Most of it. Yeah. Yeah. Remember telling me, Dave, that you went to the workshop and they saw the cast in this?
Yeah, you could find people with that board.
They literally.
Yeah, right. Some of the story about passing on in his kitchen. We were over trying to hold him up because he didn't get enough oxygen. He was passing his head. And then he was a little strong and big enough. They passed out, they were holding it up in their kitchen.
Where did you get the head? It takes a lot of air to make this machine. Oh. That's important. Yeah, we just. I just did a cast.
So what was that again? That was unheard of in my day. Unheard of when we were starting out.
But that's how these ones go.
Really?
Cast like, yeah.
What was that?
I've had these, well, when I first got these casts in like 2012. Yeah, 2012.
2012. Why was I a part of that?
I don't know. And then it got all put on hold.
Okay. All right, so now we're gonna move on to the unarmored fighting portion of the test. And the first person is Bill with Abrazare. To fight till he's satisfied. Please proceed. We got it.
Okay. Well, you know, but you go as long as you want.
Two minutes.
Check more seconds.
Okay. Three minutes.
That's what we used to do. It's a new.
I get to fight it too?
What's that?
Do I get to fight it too?
Sure, if you want to, that'd be great. It's funny. That's what some of the conservatives say. No, I know. I think it's funny. It doesn't make a difference. You know what? They don't work inside ours. So outside of it, just like see what's going on. Yeah, you actually see the whole license. Is that you too? Oh, mine. All right.
Ready?
Don't give it back.
One.
Continue attack.
Get a dagger going.
Fiore.
Whoa! Right now. I can do that.
Okay? Yep. Yep.
Two minutes.
Okay, we need to pull up the map.
Take your time, no rush.
No rush.
No time constraints.
Stack them under the banner.
Move the banner. Move the sword first. You must be very proud. You're a good spouse. You're smiling as if you actually really care.
I do, I care.
No, I know you do.
He doesn't get this, you're all dead.
Oh, look at that. I've got to go next one.
All right then.
That probably puts a bit of a constraint on things. He succeeds or we all die. What are you, James Bond villain?
Those fancy shoes. Yeah. This guy's got some color to this drab. Just touch it. Yep. Yes, yes. Yep. Yes. Doesn't bite you. Yep. Yes. Yep. Good. Nice. 2 point. Fucking good. Yes.
2 minutes.
Okay. Yep. 2 more, yep. And last one. Yes. Very nice. No, your sword. Oh, good on, good.
It's funny when those series actually pay off. I thought you were going to throw it.
Oh. 2 minutes.
Okay, that concludes our armored fighting tested portion. Armor up. Okay, so we're still doing 2 minutes. Sorry about that.
Well, no, I want to have you from you now. Like I was just saying, just like
You're right. We have fight night. First Thursday of every month. You know, it's interesting, the guys in the fight night. How many places?
That's okay.
Sword, sword, 130.
Oh, really?
How's the that's
Something.
Oh, no, oh, that's it.
We're quite frequently, like, a lot of them come out to Campbell.
Yeah. I just want to get some, whatever you
That's nice. This is the last one. Okay.
You're recording the whole thing anyway, right? Okay.
But, you know, I'll be able to say
Yeah, that's great.
it's not like a high quality operation.
This one, it's like
See.
Don't rush. Take your time. Take your time.
When it goes back to my stomach first bit.
You can do it 6 times. Sort of hold on to the spirit. Well, that's what.
It's really kind of close to one.
6 or 8.
Oh, yeah.
They're good reads. They're quite active.
Can't shut up.
No, really? Just be careful not to go down that rabbit hole. Yeah,
My sister-in-law, my brother, my cousins, and friends. It's a laid back party. Laid back party. The boy that I gave him actually a ticket. He's like, I'm not
we're so stupid people.
Do whatever you want.
less time we like gonna be 10, 11. He'll be done. He'll be at home. Well, you guys are doing like a whole.
We are, yeah. So we're going to be
Yeah, that's what you get.
Yes.
But I want to make things I want to take it. So you need to Now, yes.
You work for I've only worked nothing new.
Yeah, he doesn't want, yeah.
Most people have never heard
Fix
that.
your house, your house is in the house.
Yeah,
Living in
yeah.
an oligarchy for 30
Yeah,
years.
that's my stomach. That's what we want.
He's the same.
They find between the middle and
And then, yeah, once that
yeah, one of his but that's the thing, it's gonna be.
I saw you responded in the
Well,
time.
I noticed that as I get older.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're like freaking out at like 2
I don't think this is going to affect the game much.
It's bizarre because I said, like, no problem.
I don't really know this.
I liked it in the
But I'm ready.
Yeah, I was on my own. I kept
Trying to use it for.
Oh, good. Well, you speak Spanish. So you know what I found in Spanish? It's so similar to Italian, but it's the same. It's, and you start using words that you think are Italian made or Spanish made, and they're like, no, all they ever do is just make no sense at all. Yeah, it's actually good. I find that Spanish has some similarities. Yeah, much better. But in some phrases, some words I can't compare to Italian. No, because my mother's Canadian. Nice to
it just didn't work. Right? It's like the summer. We did the summer. It just it's crossing. You mess up on measurements.
Yeah, exactly. Like nothing worse, guys.
These are all in Europe.
Yeah. One, the guys that will do it right, they cost 3 times. Still not doing it.
Like, this is really good. And maybe, I don't know right here. I think yeah, like a this summer, a bunch of they dress up in armor. And I'm like, how is it that his is like
I got too much labor thing. It's like the guy, you know, somebody like unless he's wearing a surf coat or something too. With the leather, different colors. Yeah, exactly. That's the fun part of it.
It sits right over. What I could do is I could move.
Used to own the
what did you get? No, but like,
I still have
what is like, is there a certificate? Like, what is it?
You'll get the right to wear a garter. So right now, so there's a golden garter, and that's the same thing that in the book. And then his lip.
Oh, he will for sure, but I mean, right now, it's right now.
Most of the little ones are small, just the big pieces, they're too big for us. So I end up splitting them with a silver account. Very small. If you look into but anyways, you know, everybody's like it's like a plus-2 plan on who's going to be in it. I had an 8-pound bag, you know, it's really nice big beer, so just figure that out. One of these guys, Christopher splitting this, which is less than half of it, but it is
You know, Bert, you're not great just because your armor fits you perfectly. I do my little honey too.
Okay, okay.
Right now, we're both
Day by day.
yeah,
Day by day.
but you know, you make plans.
Goals, you have goals.
Yeah, so it doesn't help how it's right now. It's just very good. So all these guys so where would we next?
I'm not sure if that's what it is. And you know, when people
But like I said, that's the place that things to do and also right now it's just very intense because who's in competitive, who needs to go here, who needs to go here, less of business.
Take your time, no rush.
Right, so it's like, Aaron, if you don't people sit down there.
Take your time over there. Don't kill yourself.
Maybe once we can, that's rare.
Why do we do all that shit?
Yes, it is.
10 seconds.
And this is where we talk, when you say, if you're a number, if you're a I did.
Back in the day,
Yeah, but they would
I can manage to have him. I can manage to have me.
no voter ID.
Remember, that's 3 things you gotta help.
and then you hear about
3 colleges, 3 universities, 3 countries, 3 you're gonna get married, 3 you're gonna buy a house. Well, that's 3. It's 3 kids you gotta help. And I'm like, this is that's true. I never because I come from a family. You come from a family.
I'm for myself.
Right, so it's a spend, but the thing is, times have changed.
But can you imagine what an ignominious death for him? So yeah, he died in battle. Well, battling something.
Yeah, it's it's day by day.
He battled.
But no, it's
What?
but it's
Sometimes when these don't hurt us on the fence.
something.
You brought your armor set.
8 years ago.
Oh yeah.
You brought the armor set.
This is system, the boarding system.
The armor set.
Yeah, somewhere.
We're trenchworthy.
I think it's over there with the whole lot. Did you bring both of them or just one?
Just one for him.
If we did, I got friends in the back of the way.
It's a good day.
Yeah,
I remember coming to
Oh, I wasn't going to use that.
sounds interesting. So why don't we check it out? I didn't think anything of it. Talk about it. Then it was therapy for him. Like,
Isn't this the one we used on the
to
side?
get over that.
Schwab. Sorry, Schwab.
Right, you ready? Yep. Mark?
Okay.
Glasses. I think I'll put them on. They were better than the first one. Well, no, I need to put them on here. It's something before I button up.
Okay, who's first?
Me.
Okay.
It's me, Murph, me, Murph, me, Murph.
Okay.
The last fight is going to be with the senior freestyle.
Okay. Okay. I'd enter the list, Aldo.
In that case, you say so, Aaron, that's what I would do. Buckle me up, boys. Underneath the block. Oh yes, yes. No. Okay. I'm not going to put up until the last computer.
All right. Let's do it. Begin the armoured fencing portion. Good. First up, Aldo. At your leisure. Okay.
You guys have
We'll only do it like less than a minute. Bill, notice that. You got my dagger from somewhere over there? Might be in the other box.
Go on. What's that?
That's fast. Oh.
Gauntlet. You alright? The gauntlet's popped out. Oh. Hi. No, they're not meant for punching for sure.
But also through right there.
Okay. This is like a little top.
One more pass. No more pass. No more punch.
Yes. 1 minute.
Oh, you got it. Okay. Go.
All right.
Good. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Aldo, step to the right.
Yeah. Is that? Okay. Good. All right. Yep. You just pop my visor. Press the button. No brakes. You can do a break if you want. I need a break. Yeah, I can do a break.
How long you guys want?
We got spear. So pull axe next. Okay.
Whatever you stand up, I'll stand up.
Okay. Just want to give you a moment more. Okay. Up me.
That's a cheer.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah, re-center up.
What's that?
Center up.
Oh yeah.
Last pass. Time. Yes.
Visor. Visor.
Can you get this visor inside that?
He's gonna have a mini concussion now. Okay. Yeah, nice.
Spirited. Take your time when you're ready, okay? I want to beat you because you're fresh, not because you're gassed, all right?
That time is past.
Well, white is the pointy.
I don't know.
White is the pointy end?
Only,
Only 10. But which one's the actual
it'll
pointy?
be over like that.
White, okay. Oh, yeah, sure. White.
Yeah, that would hurt.
There you go.
Yep.
Yep. You got me too, though. Yeah.
One minute.
Yeah, so tell us at 30, so then
30 seconds. So you'll already be in.
he's just gonna jump in.
Very good. Okay.
Punches us.
Good. That's it.
You want small?
No dagger.
Let's go.
Hold on, this is
Now you have to. Hey, you might be so impressed. So, it's a tradition of screwing with the freestyle fans.
Finish off and then I'll take my arm around.
All right. That concludes the test. The free scholars who now adjourn to voting graded. Okay? Let's go downstairs.
We're going downstairs?
I'm glad we gave up. Yeah.
How do you guys feel, okay?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I feel surprised a bit. But maybe like 6 minutes, probably more, plus all the other things. We just did 1 minute. I think we're not down too much.
It is, it's a work on itself.
Oh, just walking around the armor is a work.
It's okay, I'll sign it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
worth it, Troy.
Yeah, I know. Don't hold it up.
Yeah, it's coming, it's coming. Push.
No, if they substitute it strict, then it should be strictly.
No, of course. You'll do your part on.
There you go.
The stitching, see, I thought you said the stitching.
It's like 40 degrees Celsius. Yeah, that's what you did.
The whole back of the machine likes it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's
I just putting the dagger.
I finally got it.
Yeah.
I was finally looking for it.
I don't know, whatever. Have it one forward. Because most of the time we do 60% really up. Right? So usually I'm not going to do most
Because I have all the energy in the world.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't know about the crossing. Something with the under. There's just a picture under from the suggest is that full squaring session. It's like we decided this week.
Well, this is just like I put on here.
Yeah, exactly. Put that back on for our manager for like dignity. If you want to. It's a belt. It's all a dagger. It's always having a dagger.
Once you're back on the fencing, the eagles will be prevented when you're on the
Yes. So we need I think at least 3 depends if we have that's gonna a little bit. 2 months.
I had my first, my second son, I was training post-corona. No, yeah, I was training for scholar, and then I had my phone on 24/7.
Oh, yeah.
Someone was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Where do you want me to start? Appreciate you. What happened? You got tired a little bit? What's going on?
No! No, I have a bad knee and I can't stand up. Yeah, that's what it
You
is.
guys do something just now?
Yeah, no.
Oh, man.
I'm fine. I'll fight you again. No.
With our minds.
Yeah. I'm unarmed.
Right down the middle there now. That's the one time I drew my dagger properly the whole day.
Yeah.
Okay, let's turn them up. Jordan? Where is he? I got this one? Yeah.
It's with consultation with the Free Scholars and Provost of the Academy that,
Anthony, it's my absolute pleasure to have the honor to award you with the Garter and rank of Free Scholar at the Academy of European Martial Arts.
oh yeah. It's not a, I've never done this before. There's a little bit of harness there, so. I plan on using some of that.
You probably just did lose.
There we go. Right. Now, in the good old way, I invite you to join the circle of your peers, and let's close together. Free Scholars. Thank you, everybody.
Yay!
Stop look here. Say one thing. Stop look here.
So I want to thank everybody, all especially all the key scholars that came. Such great instances to be here, especially being so back to come from Scotia. It means a lot to me. Everybody here will help bring me through this journey along the way. I really appreciate it. I want to especially thank Leander, my student.
Yeah.
It is a tradition to pass a bottle of scotch on to your Zugadore so we can enjoy it together and save a little bit for your Zugadore when your time comes, and hopefully it comes soon. Appreciate it.
Yeah!
All right, wait, one more announcement. Aaron doesn't know about it. All right.
Oh, no, no, no. Sorry. We gotta kind of.
Okay.
Right.
This is,
I still don't know about it.
Oh,
Okay. So, now what's happening? Okay, I'm sure all of you are starving. Aren't? Are we being filmed right now? Hopefully not. My instruction is to fuck off and find food. Go get food and drink and sustain yourselves, and then the rest of the afternoon is going to be free fencing for all willing and able to do so. Okay? Our formal potluck party will start roughly 7 p.m. tonight, but we're going to have again free fencing through the extra afternoon. So stay, go, drop in, how you see fit. Okay?
Okay.
Very good.
Picture.
Picture.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Like the 25 years?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
He just wants to be.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what yours helped us. 6 flights of stairs.
I just support. I support. Fully support. Especially when you don't treat the artwork like this.
Oh yeah, it's that.
Well, the thing is, it's two ways, right? I want support in my stuff.
You don't walk to be
Yours was the last one I went to, right? Yeah. Because I wasn't around for Aaron. That was during that weird gap that I had.
Oh, yes, I remember. Yes.
Yeah, so yours was the last one I saw, right?
More than 10.
Oh, way more than 10 years. Way more. Like, I didn't come back until 2017.
I don't even remember. I remember one thing really stands out. The armor bar at the end of his tail, as he's pushing around, he just goes. And I was like, you killed me.
Stop up here. Stop up here. Everyone, just a friendly suggestion. There is a place that is like a 30-second walk west on Queen Street called the Rhino. It's got good food and drinks. So if you're at a complete loss of where to go, that's my suggestion. Okay? So, no.
Look, I'm naked.
Let's see you. Alright, take care.
I